Imagine being the most powerful spoiled brat in the empire, and you decide to pour a bucket of gutter water all over a guy who's just trying to do his job. She calls him a sewer rat, kicks him in the chest for the crime of looking at her, and then literally puts her bare foot in his face, telling him to know his place. Most protagonists would cry or wait for a training arc. Our guy? He just delivers a slap so hard it probably reset her personality back to factory settings. "Get up," he says. Because the lesson is just beginning. But to understand how we got to this point, we have to go back to a place called Ebelstein. Meet the Great Mage. Or as the locals call him, the lying old geezer who can barely cast a light bulb spell. He's got a nasty temper and loses his mind if a kid so much as breathes near him. And this? This is Derek. He's the old man's only follower, but he isn't here for the vibes. He's here for the knowledge. See, Derek is from our world, and he knows that in this life, mana is the only currency that matters. He's a natural. While the old man is busy being a fraud, Derek is out here manifesting mana arrows and sniping trees like he's got an aimbot. The old man tries to keep him humble, telling him that magic is all about bloodlines and that a commoner like him will always hit a wall. But one morning, Derek returns to find the wall hit back. The old man is dead, beaten to a pulp. He got caught trying to steal a 2-star spellbook from a warehouse. He wasn't stealing it for himself, he was stealing it for the kid. In the rain, standing over a fresh grave, Derek finally unlocks the basics of magic system. 4 years pass, and Derek meets this woman, Katya Flameheart. She's a fallen noble, a 3-star mage, and let's just say she's got a lot of plot to share. She teaches him that greed is slow, but talent is a curse if you don't know how to hide it. Derek's mana control is so stable, it's actually scary. Suddenly, an explosion rocks the tavern. Derek thinks they're under attack, but Katya just grabs him and tells him to follow. She drops a truth bomb. Magic is a noble's privilege. A commoner hitting 3 stars is a death sentence if the wrong people notice. By age 14, Derek officially hits 2-star status. Katya leaves for a better job, but she leaves him with a full spellbook and a masterclass in how to act like a snob. By 16, he's a master of self-study and ready for the big leagues. His captain Jaden comes in hot with a request from House to Plain, the Grand Duchy. These guys use gold like we use toilet paper. Derek smells a rat. Why would a duke hire a random mercenary? The advance payment is 1 gold coin. The rest of the crew sees the coin and their eyes turn into literal dollar signs. Then, the clients walk in. A butler with a monocle who looks like he's about to deduct points from Derek's existence. He calls Derek a child and tries to cancel the job immediately. Derek decides to show, not tell. He starts clearing out goblins like he's speedrunning a low-level dungeon. No magic, just straight efficiency and a lot of green blood. The butler is impressed. The maid in the back is smiling. Back at the tavern, Pauline is throwing a fit about being a noble's dog. Jaden mentions the gold coin and she's suddenly ready to bark for the duke, but Derek knows they were all lying. The butler wasn't a butler, and that maid's hands were way too clean to have ever touched a dish in her life. The butler drops the act and offers a new request, 15 gold coins. That's buy a small village kind of money. Derek accepts. Time to see what the rich folks are hiding. They arrive at the Duplain residence, which is basically a 5-star hotel but for people who own countries. Inside, things are tense. A young noble named Reg is throwing a tantrum because his sister Diella just made 10 servants quit in a single month by smashing things. Reg wants to ship her off to a monastery and forget she exists. The Grand Duke, his father, responds by slamming his head into the desk. "It's not your decision," he says. "Dad of the year, everyone." Derek enters with Azaline, the eldest daughter. They run into Reg and the Duke's favorite son, Valerian. Valerian looks like a discount Prince Charming, but Derek can smell the main character rival energy from a mile away. Azaline introduces Derek as the new tutor for the problem child. The Duke tells everyone to leave. He wants a private word. He looks at Derek and calls him out for being 16. Derek plays it cool. "I can use a bit of 1-star magic." The Duke laughs. He's a 5-star mage. He can see right through Derek's modesty. The room starts vibrating with 5-star mana pressure. Derek doesn't even flinch. He knows why he's here. The Duke grants him access to the annex where Diella lives, but Derek has one condition. If he's going to do this job, he needs 100% authority. No interference. No, but she's a lady excuses. The Duke agrees. He's out of options. Meanwhile, in the annex, Diella is busy being a menace. She's threatening maids with broken plates and acting like a TikTok brat who just lost her Wi-Fi. The Duke warns Aisling that Derek isn't some kind mercenary. He's a guy who grew up on the streets. He's a survivor. Derek walks toward Diella's room like he's walking toward a boss fight. He opens the door. Greetings! Diella is sitting there looking like a porcelain doll. Then she smiles. It's the smile of someone who has a basement full of red flags. Splash. She pours a whole bucket of nasty water on his head. Oh my! I thought a sewer rat walked in! She continues the verbal abuse, telling him gutter water suits him. Derek just stands there, soaking wet, eyes cold. She gets annoyed he's not crying and tries to kick him in the face. Derek takes the hit. He's gathering data. Then she steps on the table and puts her foot right under his chin. Know your place, sewer rat. Cut back to the Duke. He knows this is going to be a disaster. Derek asked him, how much authority are you willing to grant me? The Duke gave him everything. Ham. Derek delivers a backhand that sends the little lady flying off the table. The sound probably echoed through the entire mansion. Diella is staring at him in absolute shock, her cheek burning red. Derek's eyes glow. Get up! 3 years ago. A simple carriage, a dirt road, and a lesson that would change everything. Derek asks his mentor, Katia, what she would do with a student who is too stubborn to appreciate kindness. She gives him the standard PR answer first, try to understand them, embrace them, the whole power of friendship vibe. Our guy is not buying it. He knows some people are just built different, and not in a good way. Katia realizes he's looking for the real answer. If understanding doesn't work, you need a different starting point, and that starting point is carving fear directly into their soul. If they won't respect the teacher, they will respect the consequences. Fast forward to the present. The slap heard round the manor. Diella is looking at Derek like he just committed a war crime. He doesn't care about her shock. He's already giving the first lecture respect and consideration. Get up. She's trembling on the floor, the realization finally hitting her that her noble blood just failed to protect her face from a commoner's hand. She tries to swing back. Bad move. She's a middle schooler trying to box a battle-hardened mercenary. He catches her arm like it's nothing. She's screaming about how a lowborn dared to touch her, but her voice is cracking. Derek isn't even angry. He's just bored. He repeats the lesson because apparently she didn't hear him the first time. The cavalry arrives, or at least the manor's management. Diella starts screeching for the steward to handle this trash. Delon, the grand steward, rushes in with the maids. He looks like he's about to have a heart attack. He starts lecturing Derek about laying hands on a lady of the house, threatening him with the Duke's wrath. Derek doesn't say a word. He just reaches into his belt and pulls out a piece of paper. The golden ticket. The document of full authority signed and sealed by the Grand Duke himself. Delon reads it, and you can see his soul leaving his body. The monocle is practically sweating. The document basically says Derek can do whatever he wants. Diella sees the look on the steward's face and realizes her backup just forfeited. Night falls over the manor. But the drama is just getting started. Valerian, the Golden Boy brother, is storming down the hallway. He's the type of guy who thinks every problem can be solved with a firm look and good hair. He kicks the door open. He's looking for the mercenary who dared to touch his precious sister. Derek is just sitting there reading a book. He looks like he's waiting for a pizza delivery, not a fight with a high-ranking noble. Valerian grabs him by the collar, screaming. Reg is right behind him, trying to play the reasonable brother but failing. Our guy doesn't even flinch. He just reminds them that the Duke gave him permission. The law doesn't care about their feelings. Reg tries to pull Valerian back. He's worried about their sister Aisline's reputation since she's the one who brought this rat into the house. Valerian lets go, but he's not done. He tells Reg to stay out of it and orders Derek to follow him. Reg gives Derek a creepy little shoulder pat. He basically tells him that Diella deserves a beating, but warns him not to go too far. Derek watches them walk away. He's scanning the room, looking for something specific. He's wondering why Valerian is so obsessed with protecting a sister who is objectively a nightmare. Valerian takes him to a quiet room. It's full of dolls and childhood memories. This is Diella's old room in the main house. It's been preserved like a museum. Valerian gets all nostalgic. He says Diella used to be different before she got obsessed with her bloodline. Derek notices a painting. It's actually really good. Valerian says Diella used to love drawing. He remembers her being adorable and shy. But there's a catch. She never finished a single drawing. She'd only draw the parts she liked and leave the rest blank. Valerian apologizes for getting emotional. Derek brushes it off. He's not here for the therapy session. He wants to know the point. Why show him the good old days? Valerian's goal is simple. He wants Derek to save her from the monastery. Diella was driven out of the main house because she became a monster. Valerian doesn't know why, but but he's desperate. He thinks if she can learn just one-star magic spell, he can convince the Duke to let her stay. He's literally begging a mercenary for help. He puts his hands on Derek's shoulders. It's a moment of genuine vulnerability from a high noble to a commoner. Derek looks at the paintings again. Something is clicking in his head. He checks her old magic books. They are covered in notes. Diella didn't give up on magic, she was obsessing over it. Valerian confirms she was studying disciplined school theory, the standard way nobles are taught. Derek gets that look in his eyes. The I just solved the puzzle look. He looks at the painting of the forest. He's connecting the dots between her art and her mana. He grabs one of the books. He's got a plan, and it is definitely not going to involve understanding and acceptance. He tells Valerian he'll give it a try. But the try is going to look a lot like a nightmare. Midnight. The manor is silent. Diella is fast asleep, probably dreaming about slapping servants. A shadow looms over her bed. It's holding a bucket. Splash! Welcome to the morning, Your Highness. Derek is standing there with an empty bucket, looking like the world's most aggressive alarm clock. She's sputtering, asking if he's lost his mind. He doesn't answer. He just grabs her by the arm and starts dragging her out. She's screaming for the guards, for the maids, for anyone. The staff is watching from the shadows, terrified to intervene because of that full authority paper. They head out into the grounds. The moon is full, and the vibe is officially horror movie. He drags her into the woods. No more manor walls, no more guards, just a girl and the guy who slapped her. He throws her to the ground. She's sobbing, asking what this is going to change. She starts lecturing him again about how he's just a lowborn who could never teach her anything. Derek stops her. He asks if she wants to hear an interesting fact. He leans in, his face glowing in the dark mana. He says he has zero intention of teaching her magic. She freezes. The logic of her world just broke. He tells her that as a commoner, he hates nobles. This tutor gig? It's just an excuse to beat up arrogant, high and mighty nobles like her. He draws his sword. The steel rings in the quiet night. She asks if he thinks he'll be safe after this. He just laughs. She's being sent to a monastery anyway. No one will believe her. He plays the martyr. He says even if he gets caught, he'll just pay with his life. After all, a commoner's life is cheap, right? Or he could just run away. Either way, the Duke would probably thank him for getting rid of his biggest headache. Diella's brain finally hits the danger signal. This isn't a lesson. This is an execution. She turns and bolts. She's running for her life, her nightgown catching on the brush. She realizes if she runs across the open field, he'll catch her in seconds. She dives into the deep forest. She knows these woods. She played here as a kid. She thinks if she can lose him in the trees, she can circle back and get him killed. But something is behind her. A light. A massive ball of flame ignites the forest. Diella looks back and her jaw drops. Fireball. Fireball is 2-star magic. In her world, only talented nobles or elite mages can touch that. How is a slum rat using it? Derek is smiling. It's not a friendly smile. He launches it. The heat is intense. She dives out of the way as the explosion rocks the ground behind her. Dirt and fire everywhere. This is a 10-10 on the I'm about to die scale. She's hyperventilating. The reality of magic, real, destructive magic, is right in front of her. Derek steps through the smoke. He looks down at her and says with total deadpan energy, I guess I missed. Diella isn't waiting for a second shot. She scrambled up and dives deeper into the trees. She's breathing like she's just finished a marathon, her face stained with dirt and tears. She trips over a root. She hits the ground hard. Her noble pride is currently somewhere in the mud. She looks up, and the air turns cold. Literally. Ice spears whistle past her head, pinning her nightgown to the ground. She's stuck. She's looking at these glowing blue stakes like they're the fingers of death. Derek walks out of the shadows. He comments on her movement. He's impressed she can run this well for someone who spends all day in an annex. She manages to rip herself free and keeps running. She's pure instinct at this point. Derek watches her go. He's not chasing, he's leading. Diella is falling apart. She's wondering how long she can keep this up. She looks back, searching for any sign of him. Derek kneels and touches the ground. He's using his mana to pulse through the earth, tracking her like a sonar. The forest is thick, but he knows exactly where she's going. He appears ahead of her. He mentions the painting. He knows this is her safe place. This is where the magic happens. Literally. He's realizing that the reason she could paint this forest so well is because she was subconsciously feeling the mana in the trees. She's had enough. She picks up a rock and tries to smash his head in. Steel meets stone. He parries the rock with his sword. The impact sends her flying back. She's on the ground looking up at the blade. Derek commends her spirit. Most people would have just curled up and died, but she chose to attack. She's panting, her lungs burning. He tells her the truth. She's out of gas. She can't run anymore. He raises his sword. Any last words? She gives a bitter, broken laugh. She tells him to just kill her. She won't apologize. She won't do pathetic things like a commoner. Derek asks the million-dollar question, why is she so obsessed with her bloodline? And then, the mask slips. She asks what else she has. She screams it. Magic. 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 She's crying now. Real tears. She asks if he thinks she never tried. Derek goes quiet. He's listening to the trauma of a girl who was told her blood makes her special, but her talent made her a failure. She's sobbing into the dirt. She failed at magic. She failed at painting. She's failing at everything. Without her bloodline, she feels like she's literally nothing. She's just a broken kid in a lilac dress. Derek stands there for a long moment. He raises his sword again. The mana around it starts to glow with a different intensity. Diella closes her eyes. She's ready for the end. He says he's heard enough. Farewell. He swings. She flinches, waiting for the cold steel. But nothing happens. Instead of a blade in her neck, a wall of jagged ice erupts from the ground around her. She looks up, her eyes wide. The ice has formed a protective circle. It's beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Derek looks at her and says, "Good work, my lady." He shears his sword. The villain persona just evaporated. He bows. He asks for forgiveness for his rudeness. She's staring at her hands. They're glowing. He tells her she did well. It's not master tier magic, but she manifested mana. She starts hiccuping. The adrenaline dump is hitting her hard, and then the dam breaks. She starts wailing like the child she actually is. Our guy just stands there. He's not a hugger. He's just waiting for the mana to settle. They sit on a fallen log. He explains the big reveal. She belongs to the wild school. He explains the two types of magic. Discipline school is for the math nerds and the rule followers. Trying to teach a wild school mage with discipline theory is like trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It was never going to work. She's stunned. How did this mercenary know something her expensive tutors didn't? The paintings. He tells her she was already using mana when she painted. She was feeling nature and putting it on canvas. Wild school mages feel the mana in the world around them. Her tutors were trying to make her memorize formulas while her soul wanted to dance with the trees. She's looking at him with a mix of awe and lingering "I still hate you" energy. He bandages her leg. He tells her she's not bad, considering the mess she was in, but the work is just starting. Tomorrow, they start learning how to do it naturally. She calls his name. Not Tutor, not Lowborn, just Derek. She mumbles a thank you, crossing her arms and looking away. Classic tsundere behavior. Derek doesn't make a big deal out of it. Let's go. He starts walking back to the manor. As they walk, he asks about the sunset painting, her masterpiece. He tells her he noticed it was actually finished. Most people thought it was incomplete, but he saw the vision. The sun rises. A new day for the Duplain house. Diella is back in her bed. She's awake, looking at her hand. She tries to summon the mana again. She's focusing, her blue eyes narrowed. It's not working perfectly. A little puff of smoke, and that's it. A maid enters the room carrying a bucket of water. She trips. The water splashes right onto Diella's dress. Splash. The room goes silent. The maid freezes. In the old days, this would have resulted in a public execution or at least a broken nose. The maid starts begging for her life, crying that she's committed a grave sin. Diella looks at her. The shadow of the old monster is there for a second. The maid is literally on her knees, shaking. Diella just sighs. Be careful. The maid is confused. Wait, she's not hitting me? She watches Diella walk away. The other maids gather around, whispering. Something changed in that forest. Meanwhile, Derek is having the best sleep of his life. Suddenly, banging on the door. Derek! Derek! He opens the door, looking like he's ready to fight the entire army. It's Diella and Steward Delon. She demands to know how to control the manifested mana. Delon is in the background having a meltdown. She manifested mana? Diella tells him to hurry up and teach her. She's back to being bossy, but the vibe is different. Derek looks at her for 1 second. Come back this afternoon. Slam. Door shut. Diella is screaming at the door, calling him a crazy bastard. But inside these walls, the vibe is shifting. People are starting to notice that the resident nightmare has gone quiet. The maids are gossiping in the hallways. Apparently, Diella hasn't broken a single plate today, which is basically a miracle in this house. Even better, the maid she splashed with water didn't get slapped into the next Tuesday. The word is spreading fast. Diella manifested magic. The sewer rat tutor actually did what a dozen highborn mages couldn't. But not everyone is celebrating. Reg is standing in the hallway, eavesdropping on the help. He's got that look on his face like he just swallowed a lemon and found out it was a commoner's lemon. Inside the Duke's office, Business as usual. The Duke is signing papers, probably approving another shipment of monocles and arrogance. Valerian and Reg are reporting the news. Valerian is hyped, but Reg is doing that thing where he tries to make a W look like a massive L. The Duke is actually relieved. He's been trying to fix Diella for years, and hearing she finally hit the mana gas pedal is a weight off his shoulders. Reg immediately tries to pour cold water on the fire. He says they shouldn't jump to conclusions just because she manifested a little spark. Valerian isn't having it. He snaps at Reg, telling him he should be praising his sister instead of looking for reasons to throw her under the bus. Reg's eyes go cold. This is the look of a guy who had a very specific plan for his inheritance, and Diella's success was not in the script. He reminds his father about Diella's track record. To him, one small result shouldn't be enough to cancel her one-way ticket to the monastery. The Duke stays silent, his pen still scratching against the paper. He's weighing the potential of his daughter against the political stability of his house. Back at the annex, the sun is shining, but the weather inside is a bit gloomy. Diella is sitting on her bed, pouting like she's trying to set a world record for the most dramatic sulk in history. Derek walks in and asks the obvious. "Are you sulking?" She denies it instantly. "I'm not sulking. I'm angry." It's a subtle difference, but to a 12-year-old noble, it's everything. Derek tells her to knock it off. Being spiteful isn't going to make the mana flow any faster. She repeats herself, louder this time. She's not being spiteful. She is angry. He gives her the cold truth. There's an order to these things. You can't just puke out mana because you're in a bad mood. She snaps. She's officially pouting now, even if she refuses to admit it. Derek just stares at her. He's got the patience of a stone wall, mostly because he's being paid enough to deal with this. She finally folds. Fine, let's say she's pouting. At least she's honest now. Derek pulls up a chair. It's time for a lecture, but not the kind she's used to. He tells her that manifesting magic is just the first step. If she goes around throwing it like confetti, it's going to backfire and probably take a limb with it. He says this because he's been through it. He emphasizes that rest is just as important as the grind. She's rested enough, so now it's back to the books. Diella starts with the stuffy magic teacher insults, but you can tell her heart isn't in it anymore. Derek gives her a look that would freeze a volcano. He offers to teach her in a way that's not stuffy, aka the forest simulation part 2. She shuts up instantly. The trauma is still fresh enough that she'll take the books over the fireballs any day. Today's lesson? Magic manifestation. He explains that once she can do this freely, she'll be on the fast track to 1-star magic. He breaks down the wild school again. No rigid systems, no boring formulas. It's ideal for self-study because it's about freedom, not regulations. He tells her she actually suits the wild school quite well. Diella looks confused. Being wild isn't exactly a compliment in noble circles. Derek explains that her free-spirited nature, which is the polite way of saying she's a brat, is actually a perfect match for the school. Plus, having Duplain blood means she's naturally overflowing with talent. She freezes. Her face goes red. This is the first time anyone has ever told her she's talented without following it with a but. She asks if she's some kind of genius. She manifested an ice wall in a life-or-death situation, so yeah, she's definitely got the sauce. Derek corrects her. Talent and genius are different things. Diella argues they're the same, but Derek isn't here for the semantics. Reg is watching them from outside. He's standing in the garden, listening to the sound of his sister actually making progress. He's disgusted. He's watching his plan to purify the bloodline slip through his fingers because of a white-haired mercenary. Next day. The manor is still standing, but the energy is getting chaotic. Diella kicks the door open. She's figured out manifestation, but she can't get the direction right. She's basically a leaking faucet of mana. The next day, she's interrupting his lunch. She's imbuing it with cold, but it feels off. Derek is just trying to eat his soup in peace. The day after that, she's chasing him through the halls. She can feel the magic, but the sensation is weird. She's becoming a stalker, but for education. He tries to hide in the fields to read. No luck. She finds him immediately, yelling about what he's doing out there. She starts lecturing him. She tells him to stay near the annex. She's actually worried about him slacking off with the spellbooks her father lent him. Derek's response is peak Derek. He says the Duke lent him the books specifically so he could slack off, meaning his job is to know them so well he doesn't have to work hard to teach them. She drags him back. She's proud because she made the magic flow like he asked. She's demanding a checkup like a kid showing off a drawing. Later that evening, Valerian is standing by the window, looking dramatic. Derek walks into the room. Valerian invited him for a talk. He's actually acting like a normal human being for once. He asks how Diella has been lately. He's genuinely curious about the progress his sister is making under this unorthodox teacher. Derek says she's making progress, but 1-star magic is going to take some time. He's being realistic, not promotional. Valerian gives him a heads up. His mother, the Grand Duchess, is returning from a social gathering next week. He warns Derek that she's not someone he can take lightly. The people in the estate are fine, but high-ranking nobles hate commoners in key positions. Derek says he'll keep that in mind. He asks if that's the only reason he was called here. Valerian goes quiet. The mood shifts from political to weird. He talks about his future as the head of House Duplain. He says it's a position where you have to embrace every member of your house. He gets philosophical about how hard it is to understand someone's heart. He wishes everyone's values were the same, but they aren't. Derek is losing his patience. "What are you trying to say?" Valerian flexes. He's having a moment. "Diella won't play with me, Derek." This guy is crying. He is genuinely upset that his 12-year-old sister doesn't want to hang out with him. Derek's face says it all. He's realized he's dealing with a Tier 1 siscon. Valerian is reminiscing about when she was a little angel. He's basically grieving for the Diella that didn't treat him like a nuisance. He asks Derek if there's a way to win her favor. He's asking his sister's tutor for dating advice for his own sister. He's jealous because Diella actually follows Derek around now. He wants that same master-student bond, but for big brother vibes. Then he pulls out his secret weapon. He learned how to make dolls from the maids. He shows it to Derek. It is terrifying. It looks less like Diella and more like something you'd find in a haunted basement. He asks if Derek can feel the love. Derek asks if he's trying to curse someone. The deadpan delivery is perfect. Valerian starts crying again. Derek leaves. He decides that Valerian is completely useless for anything related to actual logic. A few days later, the god of anger has arrived. Muriella Dybel Duplain is meeting Derek in the main hall. She's smiling, but it's the kind of smile that usually precedes an execution. She introduces herself. She offers to send him a gift from her territory as a thank you for being such a capable teacher. Derek shuts her down instantly. He tells her he's not affiliated with any house. She's confused. She assumes he's just a mage from a smaller noble family. Derek drops the bomb. "I'm a commoner." The Duchess's face goes from polite noble to "I just stepped on a cockroach" in 0.5 seconds. The manner. The air just got 10 times heavier. We're back to that moment in the hall. Muriella is staring at Derek like he's a stain on a white rug. She repeats what she heard. A capable teacher. She's reevaluating everything she thought she knew about her husband's decision-making. She was ready to give him a gift, a bribe, anything to keep him under her thumb. But Derek isn't playing the game. He's not a noble trying to climb the social ladder. She asks for a pardon, but her voice is trembling with rage. She cannot wrap her head around a commoner standing in her hallway. He says it again, louder this time. He is a commoner. The word commoner hits her like a physical slap. Flashback to 1 week earlier. The carriage is arriving at the manor. Aisling is seeing Derek off. She's the one who started all of this by dragging a slum mage into the Duke's house. She tells him she has to go back to Ebelstein to handle some business. She's leaving Diella in his hands. Derek gives her a lifeless answer. He's just here for the check, not the emotional bonding. Jaden, the mercenary captain, slaps him on the back. He tells Derek to wrap it up fast before Pelling gets annoyed. He's counting on Derek to finish the contract and get them that sweet gold. The carriage leaves. Derek is alone in a house full of people who hate his existence. Inside the carriage, Aisling realizes something. She forgot something important. Her mother is returning next week. She forgot to give Derek a heads up about the god of anger. Jaden doesn't see why it's a big deal. It's just a mom, right? Aisling's face says it all. Her mother isn't just a mom. She's a woman who considers commoners to be literal garbage, a god of anger who doesn't tolerate rats in her palace. Back to the present. The Duchess is screaming at the Duke. A commoner is Diella's teacher? She's losing it. She's talking about their beloved youngest daughter being tainted by commoner magic. The Duke tells her to lower her voice. He reminds her that he doesn't like appointing commoners either, but they had no choice. He lists the failures. Every noble teacher with a good bloodline gave up. This mercenary was the only one who didn't quit. He reminds her that Aisling recommended him. The Duke trusts his eldest daughter's judgment more than his wife's temper. Muriella is pacing. She says there has to be a standard. To her, talent without blood is just a dangerous fluke. She suggests her brother Flam. He's busy, but surely he'd come if Diella manifested magic. The Duke shuts that down too. Flam is managing territory. You don't pull a governor away to be a private tutor. The Duke values the state over the nursery. Muriella brings up the social circle. To her, life is just one big tea party where everyone is judging you. She's terrified Diella will become a laughingstock when she debuts in high society. A noble girl taught by a man with no family name? In her world, that's a social death sentence. Valerian tries to step in. He asks his mother to calm down. She tells him to step aside. She is on a warpath and no blonde son is going to stop her. Reg walks into the room. He's got that I have a plan energy. He looks at his mother. They are on the same page. Both of them want Derek out and Diella humbled. Reg says it's not a normal situation, but if the commoner truly has the qualities, then it shouldn't be a problem. He offers to test Derek. He wants a magic spar. If he defeats Derek, the tutor is fired. The Duke stops him. He knows Derek is the real deal as a mage. Reg realizes he can't beat Derek directly without starting a war, so he shifts the target. What about testing Diella? Valerian looks worried. He knows exactly where this is going. Reg's logic is flawless for a villain. If Derek is such an amazing teacher, his student should be able to win a spar. He offers to verify the results by fighting his little sister. The Duke goes quiet. This is a trap, and he knows it. Reg leaves the room, Valerian chasing after him. Valerian is yelling, "A magic spar against Diella?" He knows Reg is way more experienced. This isn't a test, it's a public execution of her self-esteem. Reg asks if Valerian really thinks Diella has turned over a new leaf. He's banking on her old failures. Valerian says she's blood. They need to protect her. Reg scoffs at the word blood. He says her blood has been trying to bring the house down for years. If she debuts in society as a failure, it's the end for all of them. Valerian is shocked. He realizes his brother doesn't just hate Diella, he fears her failure. Reg walks away. He says Diella was the first one to cross the line. He thinks she's better off shut away in the annex forever. He's got that final boss glare. He wants to make Diella regret the past down to her bones. A bird chirps outside. Another peaceful morning at the annex. Not. Diella kicks Derek's door open again. She's a professional at this now. Derek is just waking up, holding a book. He's becoming a morning person against his will. She drops a scroll on his lap. It's the official challenge for the magic spar. She tells him if she loses, he's fired. She's trying to sound tough, but her hands are shaking. Derek reads the scroll. He tells her Reg is a seasoned one-star mage. It's going to be difficult for her to win. She snaps. She's terrified about him getting fired, but she's also terrified of losing. Derek's reaction is cold. I'm a mercenary. He does the job he's hired for and takes the pay. That's it. He says he's already been paid more than enough. To him, if the contract ends today, he's still in the green. Diella looks at him like he just told her the sky was green. She realizes that to him, she's just a job. 1 week later, the day of the spar, the Duplain flag is flying high. The arena is set. The whole household is there to watch the car crash. The Duke and Duchess arrive. Muriella looks like she's already picked out Diella's monastery outfit. Derek is waiting. The Duke notes that he doesn't look nervous at all. He bows politely. He's the eye of the storm. The Duke is impressed. Most commoners would be shaking in their boots in front of the Grand Duchess. He decides Derek isn't someone they should cut loose just yet. He's curious to see the mercenary's results. Reg steps onto the platform. He looks like he's ready to end a career. He thinks to himself that this won't be a simple spar. He's going to break Diella completely today. He wants her to regret her existence. Then, Diella arrives. She's wearing a red hood. She looks focused, not terrified. Flashback to the annex. Diella is asking Derek if he really doesn't care what happens as long as he gets paid. Derek ignores the question. He tells her that her growth is on track. She can't use one-star magic yet, but she's close. He attributes her success to her Duplain blood. Diella is confused. Why is he suddenly praising the thing she hates? He reminds her about the Wild School. It's about self-study and intuition. She's crying. She doesn't want to hear about schools or blood. She wants to hear that he cares. She admits she's not a great student. She's finally being honest with herself. She says she wants to keep learning from AIM. She doesn't want anyone else as her teacher. She's basically begging him not to leave her. Derek goes quiet. The silence stretches. He tells her he doesn't know the etiquette or rules for noble magic spars. He's never done one. But I can teach you how to win in a fight. Do you want to win? Diella remembers the voices, the whispers of the nobles saying she has no magic. She remembers everyone saying her siblings are capable while she's just a headache. She remembers them saying she'll be the one to bring the Duke down. She wipes her eyes. Yeah, make me win. Back to the present. Diella steps onto the stage. She isn't here as Reg's younger sister. She isn't here as a Duplain noble. She stands there only as Derek's student. The Duplain flag is flying high. It's a beautiful day for a public execution of a 12-year-old's self-esteem. Diella steps into the arena. She's wearing that red hood like she's about to go through the woods, but this time she's the one with the teeth. Steward Delon clears his throat. He looks like he's about to read a grocery list, but he's actually setting the stage for the drama. The rules are simple, standard Ebelstein-Kelbrum Salon rules. First one to trigger General Pelham's protective magic circle loses. Reg looks confident. Diella looks like she's trying to remember her training. It's on. Here is the tech for the day. The protective magic circle. It's an expensive insurance policy that nullifies a spell right before you get cooked. Derek is watching from the sidelines, judging the budget. Nobles are so rich they literally wear a year's worth of commoner wages just to have a play fight. Reg wants this over fast. Reg starts his incantation. He's surrounded by a green mana aura that screams, "I studied really hard." Diella isn't waiting for the monologue to finish. She's already moving. Reg tells her he's sorry, but she needs to go back to the annex. He's being polite while trying to blast her into next week. He launches a massive windblade. Diella. The windblade is huge, glowing, and moving like a freight train. Most girls her age would be frozen. She doesn't freeze. She drops low, her eyes locked on the mana trajectory. Reg's jaw drops. She dodged? How? He sends another one. This is Discipline School 101. Keep firing until the target stops moving. Diella is basically parkouring across the arena floor. She's moving like her life depends on it, because in her head, it still does. Derek is analyzing the stats. She can handle 1-star magic, but her combat sense is still at level 1. She's burning through mana just to force the dodges. Reg gets a hit in, not on her, but on her shield. She slams an ice manifestation into the ground to block the wind. It's messy, it's raw, and it's very wild school. Reg is insulted. To him, this isn't magic, it's a parlor trick. He thinks he can break through her amateur defenses with pure firepower. He charges up. 3 mana spheres. He tells her to try blocking this. He's going for the overwhelming force strategy. Flashback time. Derek is giving her the real talk. Mercenaries don't care about fair and square. They care about the W. He tells her that if she wins his way, people will talk. They'll call her dirty, unrefined, and lowborn. He looks her in the eye. Are you really fine with that? Her answer is instant. She's been the family failure for years. She'll take a dirty win over an honorable loss any day of the week. Back to the present. That look in her eyes? That's not a noble girl. That's a student who wants to pass the final exam. Reg's spheres explode against her ice wall. Dust everywhere. Reg is looking for the body. He thinks it's over. Derek's voiceover returns. Among mercenaries, there are people who win even when the power gap is a canyon. Because those people aren't dueling. They are fighting. Reg feels a chill. He looks down. Diella is right there, coming out of the smoke like a horror movie protagonist. The lesson continues. Control the battlefield. Use your surroundings. Take advantage of the 1 second your opponent lets their guard down to admire their own work. Diella slams her hand into the platform. Ice spikes erupt right under Reg's feet. She's breathing hard. She's putting everything she has into this one push. Reg thinks it's over. He prepares a point-blank counter. Diella slides. She's literally under the line of fire. The platform explodes. The Duchess is losing it. She's screaming for the steward to stop the match because Diella is hurt. She's having a total meltdown in the VIP box. She wants her poor little daughter saved from the consequences of her own challenge. The Duke tells her to sit down. He's the only one actually paying attention to the mechanics. He tells his wife she's wrong. The magic circle didn't activate. No circle, no damage. The Duke is staring at the smoke. He's starting to see the mercenary influence, and he's not hating it. Derek is just sitting there. Zero stress. The Duke notices. Derek didn't even blink. He knew she was going to survive that. Reg walks through the dust. He's looking for her. He's confused. She should have been hit. Where did she go? He looks down through a hole in the platform. A crack. Something is moving in the dark. An ice pillar slams upward from under the stage. Reg barely dodges. He's sweating now. This isn't how noble spars work. You stay on the stage and trade spells like gentlemen. He's furious. An attack from below? He thinks she should be disqualified for leaving the platform. Delon just shakes his head. The monocle is staying on. Reg realizes the loophole. Being below the platform isn't the same as being outside the arena. No noble ever thought of this because nobles have too much pride to crawl in the dirt. Reg sees her. She's lurking in the dust and the wreckage. Another spike. She's playing whack-a-mole, and Reg is the mole. She's spamming ice manifestations from every angle. It's chaotic and unpredictable. Reg can't see her clearly. He's losing his rhythm. He's fuming. This is a spar with zero etiquette. To him, it's an insult to magic itself. Diella! He's screaming her name like that's going to make her play fair. She pops up through the floor. Her eyes are glowing red. Reg freezes. He's seen those eyes before. The same dead, calm look Derek had when Valerian grabbed his collar. He looks at Derek in the stands. You scum! This was your plan? He's finally connecting the dots. Reg snaps. He grabs his cloak. He tosses it aside. The good older brother mask is officially off. The Duchess is still yelling about the Dust Bowl. She thinks the arena looks like a construction site, and honestly, she's right. The Duke tells her to watch a bit longer. He's actually enjoying the show. He knows the rules haven't been broken, just the vibes. He's curious. He wants to see if Diella can actually cross the finish line. Diella is hiding under the stage. It's dark, dusty, and perfect for a sneak attack. She's focused. She's not pouting anymore. This is the most serious she's been in her entire life. She sees it, the mana flow. Derek told her magic is like a painting, and right now, she's looking at the sketch. Reg starts another incantation. Diella hits him where it hurts, his mobility. She goes for his feet every time he starts talking. Reg is losing his cool. He can't get a single full spell off without having to dodge a spike. He looks at the Duplin flag. He's the golden boy. He cannot lose to a girl who is literally living in the crawl space. The mana flow stops. Diella notices. She thinks he's up to something. She's waiting for him to start speaking again so she can interrupt his mana casting. Delon looks worried. Young master! Reg is climbing the flagpole. He's getting distance. He thinks if he can't hit her from the ground, he'll rain fire from the sky. There's only one way to win. He's going to destroy the entire platform without an incantation. He launches a massive mana spear. It's not about precision anymore, it's about demolition. Derek watches. This is the first time he looks even slightly interested. The platform shatters. The flagpole snaps under the pressure of Reg's mana. Reg drops back to the ground. He's breathing hard. He just used a huge chunk of his reserves to level the playing field. The entire arena is a crater. The Duchess screams his name. She's terrified he's gone too far, but she's mostly just glad Diella isn't hiding under the floorboards anymore. Reg stands in the smoke. He's waiting for the victory screen to pop up. Something moves in the dust. He charges up a magic arrow. He's not taking any more chances. Diella is running. She's fast, but Reg's arrow is faster. She dives. Her hand hits the dirt. She's out of mana. The tank is empty. She looks up. Reg is right there. He fires. She barely dodges the arrow. It grazes her cloak. She charges him. No magic, just raw movement. Reg thinks he has the advantage at close range. He just needs one more shot. Diella doesn't use magic. She uses a boot to the chest. She slams into him with everything she has. Reg's eyes go wide. A noble girl kicked him? He's coughing. The impact actually hurt. Diella reaches down. She grabs a handful of dirt. Pocket sand, she throws it right in his eyes. Reg is blinded. He's yelling, "You!" like he can't believe she'd go this low. He realizes she's doing everything she can. Kicking, throwing sand, crawling. She's fighting like a cornered animal just to stay in the match. Reg wipes his eyes. He's not angry anymore. He's impressed. He tells her he'll do his best in return. Not as her enemy, but as her brother. He's finally acknowledging her as a fellow combatant. The sun hits the center of the arena. This is the final exchange. Diella is on the ground. She looks beat up, dirty, and exhausted. She touches her forehead. She's bleeding. A single drop of blood hits the ground. Flashback. Derek is teaching her the painting method. He tells her to think of mana as paint. Spellcasting is the brush. He shows her. He creates a beautiful swirling blue light in the night sky. Diella looks at it like she's seeing the world for the first time. This is what magic was supposed to be. Back to the crater. She closes her eyes. She starts painting. She feels the mana in the air, the free-floating paint that Derek told her about. She collects it with her fingertips. That is magic. Diella stands up. She's surrounded by a massive glowing blue mana circle. Delon's monocle is practically vibrating. That is? The Duchess is stunned. Diella is using one-star magic. Real, star-ranked magic. Reg sees them. Ice spears. She's finally done it. She looks like a goddess of winter. Pure, cold intent. Reg doesn't hesitate. He fires his best wind spears. He thinks he's still a step ahead. He's more experienced. His mana is denser. He thinks if he hits her first, he wins. Diella launches. The two spells meet in midair. Reg is pouring everything into the spear. Diella's ice spear is glowing with that wild school intensity. Boom. The explosion is massive. The Duchess is screaming her name again. A green dome appears. General Pelham's protective circle has activated. The smoke starts to clear. Reg is panting. Diella is standing there, her hood falling back. Derek is watching the smoke. He's the only one who knows whose necklace just cracked 1 year ago. A nest. 3 hungry mouths and a mother bird doing her best. Nature has a very simple rule. The ones who can't fly get left behind. It's brutal, it's fair, and it's exactly how House de Plane used to work. Back in the present, the Grand Duke is walking through the halls with the steward. A letter arrived from House Belmiard regarding the incident. The Duke looks toward Diella's room. She's sitting there, small and silent. The weight of the world is on her shoulders because in her head, she just failed the only person who believed in her. She's staring out the window. 1 year ago, she was the bird that couldn't fly. The Duke's face is unreadable. He's a man of logic, but even he can see the shift in the air. We cut back to the arena. Diella is standing in the wreckage, the red hood falling back. The green dome of the protective circle is still glowing, the trigger activated. In a noble spar, that's the game over screen. Reg is on one knee, panting. He's alive, but his ego is currently in several pieces. Derek is watching from the bench. He's got that "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed" look, but really, he's just calculating the next move. Diella breaks. "I lost!" she's wailing. The mercenary way didn't give her the W she was desperate for. The entire arena is silent, except for the sounds of a 12-year-old girl having a total meltdown. The Duchess storms down. She's screaming at the Duke about how filthy and vulgar the duel was. To her, magic should be a ballet, not a street fight. She blames the so-called master. She's looking at Derek like he's something she found on the bottom of her shoe. Flashback to the Duke's youth. Raymond Oswald Duplain. A man on the battlefield telling a subordinate that his eyes resemble his father's. Eyes filled with ambition. The Duke knows that look because he's spent his whole life surrounded by it. Diella is still crying her eyes out. She thinks Derek is going to get fired because she wasn't strong enough. The Duke looks at her, really looks at her. "Your gaze has improved a lot, Diella." This is the first compliment he's given her in years, and it hits harder than any 5-star spell. The maids rush in to treat her. She's trying to push them away, still focused on the master sitting on the bench. She walks toward Derek, ignoring the help. Reg is still standing there, looking like he just survived a hurricane. He's trying to find the words to say "good game" without sounding like a loser. He eventually mumbles a "good work." Diella just bows politely, her mind elsewhere. She's being guided away, but her eyes are locked on Derek. She's trembling. The adrenaline is gone, and only the fear of losing her teacher remains. Derek is just sitting there, arms crossed. He's waiting for her to say it. She stands in front of him, looking like a disaster. She's sobbing again. The realization that she failed the contract is eating her alive. "I lost." One sentence. The shortest L of her life. "I'm sorry." She's apologizing to a commoner mercenary for losing a duel to a high noble. The power dynamic in this house is officially cooked. Derek looks at her for a long second. He stands up and walks over. "It's all right. I'm fine as well." He's surprisingly gentle for a guy who usually speaks in ones and ohs. He tells her to overcome this frustration and grow stronger. This isn't a farewell, it's a level up prompt. Diella looks up, her face a mess of tears and dirt. She lets out a massive wail. She's crying because she's relieved he's not leaving. The maids are horrified. They think she's being tortured. Then, the heavy footsteps. The Duchess arrives on the scene, looking like she's ready to start a purge. She kneels and hugs Diella, acting like she's saving her from a war zone. "My poor child." Diella is confused. She's being smothered by the mother, who usually looks at her with disappointment. The Duchess tells the maids to take her away. She's clearing the stage for the execution. She wipes a tear away. The god of anger is entering phase 2. She walks toward Derek. Derek just blinks. He knows what's coming. Slap. She hits him with everything she's got. "You vulgar wretch!" She's screaming about noble lilies and filthy tricks. She thinks Derek has smeared filth on her daughter's reputation. Derek takes the hit without moving. He's got that red mark on his face and the same dead-eyed stare. She's ranting about dignity and values that someone like him could never understand. She's peak Karen, but with a budget for private armies. She turns to the Duke, demanding he do something about this commoner who ruined their daughter. The Duchess stops mid-sentence. Her face goes pale. The Duke is standing right behind her. "Do you not know who is behaving most disgracefully here?" She's stuttering. "Why? He's merely a commoner." The Duke gets in her face. "Yes, a worthless commoner. But he is our daughter's teacher." Derek is just standing in the background, looking like he's watching a very intense theater play. The Duke tells Derek to forgive her, saying everyone loves their child in their own way. It's the most polite way possible to tell your wife she's acting like a lunatic. Derek touches the slap mark. "No, it's fine. He's a mercenary. He's been hit by worse than a noblewoman's hand." The Duke invites him to the reception room for a private talk. They walk away, leaving the Duchess standing there, shaking with rage. She's clutching her face. She just got publicly rebuked by her husband in front of the servants. The god of anger is officially fuming. Inside the office, the Duke is dipping his pen. He tells Derek he's raised Diella splendidly. He wants to grant him a fitting reward. "The highest realm permitted to a commoner. Do you desire a 3-star spell?" Derek's eyes widen. This wasn't just a reward. This was a headshot. The reception room. The lighting is expensive, and the stakes are higher. The Duke is laying it out. A 1-star achievement isn't enough to survive high society. Derek counters. He says Diella has grasped the basics. Now that she knows how to feel mana, she'll grow faster than any student in the manor. The Duke shuts him down. "What my daughter needs is not an instructor. She needs a master." He dips the pen again. He's writing a pass for the restricted library. He looks Derek in the eye and tells him he harbors an ambition that a commoner isn't even allowed to dream of. He knows it's an insult to the other nobles, but he's overlooking it because it's Derek. He's basically saying, I know you're a wolf, and I'm letting you in the sheepfold anyway. Derek is silent. He's realizing the Duke isn't just a 5-star mage, he's a 5-star mind reader. He knows Derek wants to go beyond 3-star, toward the realm of legends. The Duke tells him if he holds such intentions, he can't stay in a place like this for long. You are already prepared to leave, aren't you? He's calling him out on his mercenary mindset. Derek admits it. He's here for the gold and the growth. The Duke asks him to stay just a little longer and continue teaching Diella. He repeats the offer. The highest realm for a commoner. Do you desire a 3-star spell? Derek doesn't hesitate. Yes, I want it. The library doors swing open. It's like a temple of forbidden knowledge. Derek walks through the stacks. This is a dream for any mage, but for a slum rat, it's like winning the lottery. He pulls a massive leather-bound book from the shelf. He flips through the pages. The mana diagrams are complex, ancient, and powerful. He's mesmerized. Amazing. This is the most emotion he's shown in chapters. He thinks about how people spend their whole lives trying to find a single 2-star book. And here, he's surrounded by a wall of 3-star spells. With this, I have every reason to stay in this mansion longer. The mercenary just found his new grind spot. Meanwhile, back in the slums, Jaden is having a drink while Pelline looks annoyed. Pelline would literally explode if she knew Derek was getting 3-star loot while they're drinking cheap ale. 3 days later, the sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and something is very wrong. Diella is standing in the courtyard. She's acting like a total saint. I'm a 1-star mage now! Derek is reading at a table. He deadpans an answer about her casting a spell once, so yeah, she technically qualifies. Diella snaps. She wants a more enthusiastic response from her teacher. Derek reminds her that her progress is normal for her bloodline. He is a professional level hater. She's recovered from her injuries, but she's also acting weirdly polite. Derek reminds her how much she cried after the duel. She denies it instantly. It was just dust! Dust got in my eyes! Classic anime excuse. She's pouting. She thought Derek was getting kicked out, so she was actually worried about him. Derek tells her it's time for the lesson. Diella looks up, her eyes sparkling. What's quick? Derek repeats that her mana growth is rare. Diella preens. She loves being the type who gets things done. She wants to learn something flashy. Mana arrow? Windblade? She wants to hit Reg again, but harder this time. Derek shuts her down. We will practice mana manifestation. Huh? Why? She's back to being a brat. She wants the 1-star spells, not the tutorial basics. Derek explains that fundamentals are the most important thing for a wild school mage. If she can't control the flow, the spells will just explode in her face. She folds instantly. Fine, let's do it. She's still grumbling about it. She got all excited for nothing. She's doing that puffed up cheek thing that signals she's 100% annoyed but will comply. Derek is just staring at her, chin in his hand. I'm just surprised you listen so obediently. Diella goes full tsundere. She claims she's respected what he said from the beginning. Derek has a flashback. Diella pouring a bucket of gutter water on his head. Twice. Hard to forget. Derek's memory is as good as his mana control. Diella starts doing a nervous laugh. Ah ha ha ha, nice weather. Mana manifestation sounds fun. She's literally trying to rewrite history in real time. Derek just gives her a small, knowing smile. He's winning the psychological war. Night falls on the manor. Diella is in the woods, huffing and puffing. She's manifesting mana until she's blue in the face. Derek walks up. He tells her she's going to get busy soon. He tells her he heard it too, meaning the rumors in the manor. Diella is stressed. Starting next week, she has etiquette classes. Derek thinks it's a good thing. True, noble education. Diella lists the classes. Botany, piano, sewing, foreign languages. She's exhausted just thinking about it. She wonders how her sister Iseline endured it. Derek reminds her that Iseline is the flower of Deplane. She's the meta-level standard for noble ladies. Diella just wants to study magic. Derek tells her to go ahead, the Duke hired him, so they have plenty of time. Who would fire me now? Derek is confident. He's delivered the results. Diella says the Duke acknowledged him, but her mother won't leave it alone. She explains that the Duchess fears she'll become like a mercenary. To her mother, Derek is an infection that's ruining the noble dignity of the house. The duel was far from the dignity nobles pursue. Derek just looks at the stars. Then that's simple. He leans in, the moonlight catching his red eyes. Silencing Madame isn't actually that difficult. Remove her justification. Diella just blinks. Huh. Next morning. The manor is buzzing. The Duchess is walking through the halls. She's looking like she's planning a revenge arc. She's thinking about her poor child and the dreadful teacher. In her head, Derek is a literal demon with a sword. She imagines Derek laughing while teaching Diella how to kidnap people and tie them up. This is the mercenary way! She's actually gaslighting herself at this point. She imagines Diella walking into a high society party carrying a dead boar over her shoulder. The Duchess's imagination is basically a comedy special. Ugh, my head. She's having a stress-induced migraine. She's determined to find a way to drive him out. She is the lady of the house after all. Then she sees her. Mother? She expects the old Diella, the one who screams and breaks things. She remembers when Diella used to smile in her arms. She starts to get teary-eyed, ready to play the victim. But then she looks at Diella. Diella is doing a perfect 10-10 curtsy. Did you rest well last night, mother? The Duchess's brain just rebooted. Huh. Diella is speaking like a textbook. She regrets missing the chance to talk because she was treating her injuries, and unfortunately, she has piano lessons. The Duchess is staring. She's never seen this version of her daughter. It's like a DLC character she didn't pay for. Diella politely bows and says she has to go since she's busy with classes. The Duchess is sweating. Diella, etiquette classes haven't started yet, right? Diella gives a saintly smile, the kind that Azaleen uses. Thanks to your concern, I'm very much looking forward to them. The Duchess is completely defeated. Yes, hurry along. She watches Diella walk away. A maid walks by carrying some wood. Thud. She drops it. Old Diella would have slapped her. New Diella just smiles beautifully. Oh my, are you hurt? Please don't overexert yourself. The maid is terrified. She thinks Diella is planning something much worse than a slap. Ah, yes, Lady Diella. Welcome back. We're dropping straight into the Rosia Salon, the high society hub of Ebelstein, where the gossip is currently tastier than the tea. Lady Azaleen is holding court, and apparently, everyone noticed she's been looking a lot less stressed lately. She plays it off with that classic noble who me face, acting like she didn't just save her family from a PR disaster. She tells her friends that most of her worries have been resolved, which is noble speak for the brat is finally behaving. Alente Belmiard, the girl with the red hair, isn't buying the simplicity. She mentions the rumors that Azaleen personally went into the trenches to find someone. Azaleen doesn't even hide it. She admits she went out to find a magic teacher for her little sister, Diella. The table goes quiet. Finding a tutor in person is a huge deal for a house as powerful as the Duplins. Alente is already calculating how high the bar must be for this mysterious teacher. Denise Veltis, the girl in glasses, is visibly shocked. Diella was a meme in the Noble District for all the wrong reasons. Azaleen doubles down, saying she saw Diella recently and the girl has become such a proper lady she's basically unrecognizable. She mentions the one-star magic manifestation in Diella's new composed attitude. This is high-level gaslighting. She's making the rest of the noble girls feel like they need to work harder just to keep up with the former monster. Denise is confused because the Duplains used to hide Diella like a shameful secret. Now, they're basically using her as a success story to flex. Azaleen hits them with the payload, the teacher has no status, but his capability is off the charts. She even admits she went to the Belden Mercenary Corps to find him. The word mercenary hits the table like a lead weight. For these girls, that's like finding out the next Ivy League professor is a street brawler. Ayente remembers Diella being the reason their house cook quit and ran for his life. The fact that a mercenary tamed that beast is bordering on a miracle. She sips her tea, realizing this teacher didn't just teach magic, he performed a personality transplant on an infamous brute. The gossip is doing exactly what Azaleen wanted, it's building the legend of the commoner mage. Alente finally asks for the one thing everyone wants to know. If this guy is that good, he's going to be a major player in the future, and she wants to know his name before he becomes untouchable. Azaleen smiles. His name is Derek. Cut to the Duplain mansion where Diella is putting on a masterclass in acting. She's telling a guest how difficult etiquette is to learn on her own. The guest is totally falling for it, praising Diella for her admirable self-study. Diella, sticking to the script, gives all the credit to Derek. She's basically a walking billboard for his services at this point. She hits them with the "I can only do this much thanks to him" smile. It's perfect. It's saintly. It's also a complete lie, but hey, it works. The Duchess is watching from the sidelines, and every time the name Derek comes up, a vein in her forehead gets closer to popping. She storms off into the hallway, absolutely fuming. This is the god of anger for a reason. She's losing control of her own house to a rat from the slums. She doesn't know what Derek did to her daughter, but she's decided she can't let this stand. This is our chapter mystery. How far will she go to get rid of him? Even the servants are talking. The maid mentions how Diella has been kind to everyone lately. The gardener agrees. In just a few weeks, the girl who used to treat them like dirt is suddenly gentle and approachable. The head butler is the most surprised of all. He notes that Diella is starting to radiate the same dignity as Azaleen, the family's gold standard. The Duchess hears all of this, and it's pure poison to her. To her, noble dignity isn't something a commoner should be able to teach. Night falls over the estate. While the nobles talk, our guy is actually putting in the work. He's got that 3-star spellbook open in the grass. Derek is sweating. 3-star magic for a 2-star mage is like trying to run a high-end PC game on a laptop from 2010. His red eyes are glowing with focus. He's not just reading, he's trying to stabilize the mana loops that are way above his pay grade. He's gritting his teeth, feeling the strain. His hand is wreathed in blue mana. This is the true mage behavior the Duke saw in him, pure, unfiltered ambition. The spell collapses and he hits the ground, gasping for air. Even for a genius, there are no shortcuts to 3-star power. Suddenly, a voice breaks his focus. It's Reg, the brother he humiliated a few chapters ago. Derek isn't even startled. He just looks back and asks what the noble brother wants at this hour. Reg sits down next to him on the log. He says he wanted to talk about Diella, but he's eyeing that book. He recognizes it instantly. A 3-star spellbook is a family treasure, and his father just lent it to a commoner? Derek tells him it's difficult, but he likes to study ahead. He's being humble, but we know he's basically speed-running the power system. Reg remembers his father's words. The Duke called Derek a true mage. Reg is starting to see it too. He admits it's impressive, though it clearly hurts his pride a little. Derek cuts to the chase. What about Diella brought him out here? Reg gets all awkward, fidgeting with his fingers. He asks what teenage girls like these days. Derek just stares at him with the most deadpan expression possible. Our guy is a mercenary, not a lifestyle consultant. Reg suggests embroidering a doll that looks like her. He's blushing. The rival brother has officially entered doting brother territory. Derek shuts that down immediately. He sees a mental image of a cursed voodoo doll and gives him a hard, absolutely not. Reg backtracks instantly, acting like he wasn't actually going to do it. The embarrassment is real. He stands up, ready to head back inside, his social battery clearly drained. The two of them walk back together. It's a weird vibe, a commoner and a high-ranking noble walking like equals. Reg stops and says he's grateful. He explains that the mood in the house is better than it's been in years. Even Valerian, the Siscon brother, is actually doing his job for once. Derek notes that the Duke is hard to read, but Reg says everyone knows the old man is satisfied with the results. Reg stops walking for a second. He says he's realized that people can change, especially kids at Diella's age. He admits he might have been avoiding the truth or just didn't realize it, but seeing Diella change makes him want to change too. This is huge character growth for a guy who started as a typical elitist. He looks Derek in the eyes and gives him a genuine thank you. Our guy just secured a very powerful ally. Derek looks down. He's not used to genuine gratitude from people who usually call him a rat. Reg adds one more thing. Diella's magic felt different. He compares it to drawing a picture rather than following a formula. Derek realizes Reg isn't just a meathead. For a disciplined school mage to notice the nuances of wild school magic means the guy actually has a brain. Derek confirms it's the School of the Wild. Reg has heard the name, but it's mostly a legend to most mages. Derek explains that once she reaches a certain level, she won't even need him to teach her anymore. She'll be self-sufficient. In fact, at that level, a teacher's interference would just slow her down. He's basically saying his job is almost done. He watches Reg walk away, thinking about how Diella's time to shine is coming soon. 2 months later, Diella is sitting in her room when the maid brings in some fresh flowers. She smells them, looking completely at peace. She says it feels like spring has been around for the past few months. She's mastered 1-star magic, and she's actually friends with the staff now. The Operation Perfect Lady is now just her actual life. She gives all the credit to Derek again. He's her hero, her mentor, and probably the only person who ever truly believed she could be more than a failure. The maid asks if it's a magic lesson day because Diella looks so happy. Diella gets excited. She even asks for a leftover flower so she can give it to Derek. But then, the flower falls. It hits the floor, petals scattering. The mood shifts instantly. Diella is standing in the doorway of the training room, and she looks like her world just ended. She asks Derek what he means. Her voice is trembling. Derek is standing there with a tall noble in white armor. He looks cold. He looks like the mercenary we met in Chapter 1. He hits her with the truth. There is nothing left for him to teach her. Just like the seasons, there is no eternal spring. Our guy is leaving. We're in the Duke's office. Derek is breaking it down. Diella is a wild school genius, and her traits are too strong for him to manage anymore. He tells the Duke that if he stays, he'll just be a hindrance. He'd break her wings by trying to force more structure on her. The Duke is silent for a beat. He accepts it. He says if there's no more reason to teach, there's no more reason for Derek to stay in the mansion. The Duke's face is unreadable, but you can feel the weight in the room. He stands up, looming over his desk. He admits that many things have changed because of Derek, and his daughter has grown in ways he didn't think were possible. He confesses he hasn't been a good father because he was too focused on the territory, but now he feels relieved. That's a massive admission from a 5-star mage. He asks the one question he doesn't want to hear the answer to: when will you leave? Derek has it all planned. Aislinn is visiting soon and then heading back to Ebelstein. He's going to hitch a ride in her carriage. He says he'll return the spellbooks and pass the library key to the head butler. The Duke cuts him off. There's no need to do that. Return the key now. Derek freezes. This feels like a sudden shift. Is the Duke revoking his privileges? The Duke tells him to go. No thank you, no goodbye, just the cold dismissal of a ruler. Derek clenches his jaw. He expected this, but it still bites. He leaves the office, the heavy doors closing behind him. The business relationship is over. He walks through the long hallways of the mansion one last time. He's back to being a rat with nowhere to go. Diella is waiting for him in the corridor. She's fuming. She calls him out for showing up out of nowhere and leaving just as fast. She looks him dead in the eye, trying to stay composed, but you can see the cracks. Derek tells her it can't be helped. Diella says she knows he won't listen, but she has to ask anyway. Can't you stay? This is the girl who used to try and kill him. Now she's begging him not to leave. Derek looks down. He's not a monster, but he's a pragmatist. He starts walking toward her. He explains that he's a mercenary at heart. He needs to go back to his life, study more magic, and grow his own power. Diella looks at the floor, her shoulders slumped. She's taking the L and she hates it. Derek promises they'll meet again at her debutante ball in Ebelstein. He says by then, he'll be at a high enough level to teach her something even better. Diella huffs. You're annoying. She says he always says the right thing, so she can't even argue back. Typical tsundere behavior, but it's her way of saying she understands. That night, Diella is having a nightmare. The voices of the past are crawling back. Useless child. Incompetent. The shadows of the nobles mock her for having no talent besides her bloodline. Shame of Duplain. Should never have been born. This is the trauma Derek helped her bury, but with him leaving, the defenses are weakening. Her eyes snap open. She screams no and sits up in bed. She's gasping, drenched in sweat. The fear is back. She tries to tell herself it was just a nightmare, but the isolation is setting in. The maid rushes in, worried about the shouting. Diella looks at her, and for a second, she looks like the old Diella, vulnerable and close to a breakdown. She thinks to herself, what if? What if she creates a pretext? What if she goes back to throwing tantrums and slapping servants? If she becomes a monster again, Derek would have to stay to fix her, wouldn't he? It's a desperate, toxic thought born of abandonment. The maid asks if she's unwell, looking genuinely concerned. Diella looks at the maid's face. She sees real kindness there. She stops. She realizes she's not going to do that anymore. She smiles at the maid and says she's fine. She knows that becoming a rat again won't make her valuable. She's finally growing up for real. Morning comes. The carriage is ready. Aislinn is already inside. She asks if dropping him off at the commercial district is okay. Derek confirms it is. She tells him to go say his goodbyes. They're leaving soon. Derek looks back at the mansion. He's leaving a lot behind. The whole family is there to see him off. Reg, Valerian, and Diella. It's a weirdly wholesome moment for a family of high-tier mages. Reg asks if he's really leaving. Derek says he has to go back to where he belongs. Valerian, surprisingly, tells him he worked hard and to contact him if he ever needs anything. The Syscon is being a bro. Derek bows. Thank you. He looks at Diella. She's standing there with her arms crossed, looking incredibly unimpressed. She snaps at him, asking why he's looking at her like that. She tells him not to get the wrong idea, she wasn't going to beg him to stay. I'm not a child anymore. Derek gives her a small smile. He says it was an honor to teach her and hopes she remembers what she learned. Diella smirks. She says she's going to proudly tell everyone he was her teacher, so he won't be able to live quietly anymore. That's a threat and a promise. Derek just stares at her. The silence stretches. Diella finally breaks, telling him to take care of himself and not do anything pointlessly dangerous. She doubles down on the I'm an adult thing. Derek has a flashback. He remembers someone else saying those exact words to him, a memory of Kataya Flameheart, his mentor. She was hugging him, telling him to take her words to heart. He snaps back to the present. He looks at Diella one last time. He reaches out and pats her on the head. You don't need to become an adult so early. Diella's eyes well up. The tough act is gone. She wipes her eyes as Derek walks away toward the carriage. She shouts his name. CYOU again! She's waving, tears streaming down her face, but she's smiling. Derek waves back. Let's meet again in Ebelstein, Lady Diella! She's crying, but it's a good cry. She's finally found someone worth missing. Transition. A rat scampers across a dirty floor. We're not in the mansion anymore. Welcome to the Ebelstein Commercial District. It's loud, it's busy, and it's dangerous. Someone gets punched in the face. Hard. A crowd is cheering for a street fight. Derek is standing in the back watching. Another punch lands. This isn't a noble spar, this is a brawl. A girl with red-tipped hair turns around and grins. It's Katya. She shouts his name. Derek gives a rare, genuine smile. I'm back home. The prologue is over. The real grind starts now. We're back at Belden's Tear, the local spawn point for mercenaries who prefer their drinks cheap and their jobs dangerous. The boss welcomes Derek back with a glass of honey wine, the kind nobles pretend is fancy, but mercenaries drink like water. Pelline is already there, leaning on the bar and looking at Derek like he's a ghost. She asks if living like a noble made him even paler, which is her way of saying, I missed having someone to carry the heavy stuff. She mentions that when she heard he became a magic teacher for a noble house, she assumed the entire nobility had finally lost their minds and started taking drugs. Our guy just takes a sip and hits her with the I just worked there deadpan. He's not about to explain the trauma bonding and political warfare he just went through. Pelline isn't having it. She mocks his new noble way of talking and begs him to actually tell a story for once. She gets genuinely annoyed, venting about how much of a hellscape it was working alone while he was off playing professor. The boss cuts in, pointing out that if Derek was gone that long, he must have brought back a heavy bag of gold. Derek reaches into his bag and says he got something way more valuable than money. He drops a spellbook on the table. The boss and Pelline freeze. Even in a mercenary tavern, everyone knows what high-tier loot looks like. He clarifies it's a 3-star spellbook. This is the equivalent of a level 20 player walking into the starter town with an endgame legendary weapon. Their first instinct? Did you steal it? Pelline is half horrified and half impressed, asking where the rest of the stash is so she can get one too. Derek just blinks and tells them the Grand Duke gave it to him. Pelline loses it. She's literally shaking him by the collar, demanding to know if the Duke is hiring archery instructors next. Night falls, and while the tavern settles down, the grind never stops. Pelline is half asleep on the table while Derek is already asking the boss for new requests. He just got back and he's already looking for a side quest. He tells the boss he feels like he's lost his edge a bit. This is classic pro gamer talk. He spent 2 months teaching a kid and now he's worried his KD ratio is going to drop. The boss laughs it off. Mages are rare in the mercenary world, so there's always a surplus of work for someone who can actually cast a fireball without blowing themselves up. Derek wants to start tomorrow. He's hyper-focused on breaking that 3-star wall, and he knows he needs real combat to do it. Next morning, back in the wagon. Back to the basics. Pelline is out here running for her life from a giant ogre. Derek is just standing on the ogre's head afterward, looking bored. It's a complete stat check. They move into a spider cave. Pelline is dealing with the swarm while Derek's sword is literally glowing with blue mana. Pelline is exhausted, leaning over a wagon wheel and probably regretting asking him to come back. They set up camp. Pelline is knocked out in her sleeping bag while the fire burns low. But our guy doesn't sleep. He's out in the woods, wreathed in mana. He's pushing himself to the limit, trying to manifest the 3-star spells from the Duke's book. He's using a mana stone as a focus, and the energy is starting to crack the air around him. The mana goes critical. The explosion of light levels a small patch of the forest. Derek is sitting in the crater, hand bleeding, gasping for air. Even with his system and 5-star control, the physical body has limits. He flips through the book. He's got the 2-star spells down perfectly, but the 3-star wall is built different. He realizes that just studying isn't going to cut it anymore. He needs a different kind of stimulation. Back at the tavern, the boss is impressed. They went to the Kent Mountains and back in a blizzard just for a hunt. He dumps a bag on the counter, a harpy's head. It's a messy job, but it pays the bills. Pelline is just happy to be back in the heat. Derek, meanwhile, is already looking for the next hit. The boss mentions a request just came in that's perfect for a mage. It's expensive and easy, which in mercenary terms usually means it's a noble being annoying. The request was forwarded from the Rohel Mercenary Corps on West Street. The client? House Belmiard. They're looking for a commoner mage to help with magic sparring. In reality, they need a high-tier punching bag for their kid to practice on. Derek shows up at the Noble District Magic Sparring Arena. He's been here before, but usually through the front door. He sees Alente walking with her teacher. The teacher explains that to practice offensive magic effectively, they've arranged for a commoner. He says it like he just bought a new training dummy. Alente is actually a bit surprised. She's elitist, but even she thinks beating up a commoner for fun is a bit much. The teacher smiles, that creepy, condescending noble smile, and says the commoner is getting paid enough to make it worth the bruises. Alente sighs. She knows this is just how nobles roll, but she isn't exactly thrilled about the training. She asks if the guy can at least handle 1-star magic. She's about to hit 2-star soon, and she doesn't want to accidentally kill someone on her first day. Derek is sitting on the bench, tightening his boots. He looks like a regular mercenary, totally blending in. The teacher clears his throat to get Derek's attention. Alente looks down at him. arms crossed. She asks if he's the one she's supposed to be practicing with today. Derek stands up and gives a polite bow. My name is Derek. Alente pauses. The name sounds familiar. She probably heard it at the salon 2 chapters ago, but she can't place the face of a rat in this environment. She leads the way to the arena, thinking he looks way too young to be a veteran mage. She starts stretching out, clearly not taking him seriously. She asks if he knows the basic etiquette of magic sparring. Derek just nods. He's probably the only one in the room who actually knows what etiquette means in a life or death fight. She tells him to resist as much as he can so she can finish this quickly. She's trying to be kind by ending the embarrassment fast. She's planning to just blast him out of bounds with a single shockwave. Easy W. Derek looks at her and asks a very specific question. Exactly how much resistance are you asking for? Alente stops. She thinks it's a ridiculous question. Derek clarifies he needs to know the level of resistance required for him to actually be helpful to her training. He's literally asking what difficulty setting she wants to play on. The teacher just shakes his head. He thinks Derek is just being a cocky commoner. Alente laughs. It's a mocking, noble lady laugh. She tells him to resist with everything he's got. She thinks she's being generous by giving him a chance. Derek's face goes still. Very well. As you command. Blue mana starts swirling around his hand. Alente has no idea she just set the game to permadeath. Hashtag Derek is standing there looking way too calm for a guy who just got told to go all out against a noble. Alente thinks he's just a blustering liar. She's got her arms crossed, waiting for him to fail. Derek doesn't say anything else. He's already calculating the mana flow in the arena. He manifests a 1-star spell. It's basic, but the way the blue light coils around his hand is way too precise for a dummy. The air pressure in the arena drops. Alente starts her own chant. She thinks Derek is arrogant for mastering 1-star magic so young and decides she needs to put him in his place. She wants to show him the wall between nobles and commoners. This is the classic noble pride arc we see in every training sequence. She fires off a high-velocity wind blast. It's fast, it's sharp, and it's meant to end the fight instantly. Derek doesn't even move. He just stands there while the wind shears past him. The blast hits the barrier behind him with a massive impact. Alente is genuinely confused. She missed? At this range? Derek looks at her, his red eyes completely neutral. What's the next attack? Alente's temper starts to flare. She realizes he didn't just stand there, he baited her. She manifests a barrage of magic arrows. This is a discipline school specialty, flooding the zone with projectiles so the enemy can't dodge. She rains them down. It'll be over with this! Derek is weaving through the arrows like he's playing a bullet hell shooter on easy mode. Alente's face goes pale. He's not even using defensive magic, he's just moving. The arrows shatter against the floor. Derek is still closing the distance. He's moving with the efficiency of a veteran mercenary. No wasted energy, no flashy poses. Alente realizes he's using a very simple spell to enhance his speed, but his control over it is insane. The old teacher narrows his eyes. He's starting to realize the veteran mercenary claim wasn't just talk. Alente admits she underestimated him. She's finally dropping the punching bag mindset and treating this like a real fight. She flares her mana and the arena starts to bake. She's switching to fire magic. Derek notices the strategy shift. She stopped trying to hit him directly and is now trying to blow away the entire arena. He's actually impressed. For a noble, her adaptability is higher than average. A massive firestorm starts to rain down from above. It's an AoE area of a attack. There's nowhere to hide on the flat arena floor. Derek looks up as the fire descends. I can't dodge this. He manifests a water barrier at the last second. The steam explosion covers the entire arena in a thick fog. Alente can't see anything. She's standing in the mist, trying to find her target. Derek is moving through the fog like a ghost. He's using his specialty, delusion magic. Alente's eyes widen. She hears nothing, not even the sound of her own breathing. Derek is right behind her. A point-blank ice spear is already manifested. At this range, it's a checkmate, but instead of firing, he just taps her on the shoulder. The mist clears. Alente is frozen. She rubs her eyes, her vision still blurry from the mana backlash. She stumbles back, reeling from the realization that she was just killed without even knowing it. She's looking around frantically, but Derek is nowhere to be seen. She tries to focus, relying on her hearing since her eyes are failing her. A single ice needle passes an inch from her ear. She didn't hear a thing. No whistle of air, no mana hum. Derek is walking toward her through the distorted air. He's manifesting ice needles one after another, and they're all silent. This is delusion-type magic. He's not just hiding, he's making the sound itself disappear. He calculated that she'd rely on her hearing the moment her sight was compromised. This isn't just magic, it's psychological warfare. Alente realizes that first attack that missed? It was a test. He was probing her reactions. She's fuming. How dare he go easy on me? Derek keeps the pressure on, walking calmly while firing more silent needles. Alente puts up a barrier, her face gritted in frustration. She's looking for a gap. Derek suddenly closes the distance. He's not staying at range anymore. Alente smirks. She's a specialist in rapid magic manifestation. At close range, she thinks she has the advantage. She's waiting for the moment mana manifests from his hand so she can counterblast. Derek plants his foot. He kicks the floor. Alente blinks. Huh. Purple lightning erupts from the tip of his boot. He's manifesting magic from his toes. In the discipline school, you manifest from your hands or a staff. Manifesting from your feet is considered dirty and inefficient by nobles. But for a mercenary, it's the perfect way to hide your casting animation. The lightning shockwave hits her barrier from underneath. Alente is sent flying across the arena. The teacher is sweating now. He recognizes the wild school influence, but the flow is something he can't read. It's too chaotic, too practical. Alente is on the ground, gasping. She looks up and actually smiles. You are seriously an interesting kid. She stands up, her noble pride finally replaced by genuine warrior respect. She admits she looked down on him at first. She thought he was just a liar trying to get a quick paycheck. She bows slightly. He taught her something interesting. Thank you. But the spar isn't over. Derek is already in the air. His eyes are glowing. He's taking her request to resist with everything he's got, literally. The purple lightning is coiling around his entire arm now. Alente screams as a massive blast of energy levels the ground in front of her. Derek is coming down for a final strike. Close up on those red eyes. He's not a dummy anymore. He's a hunter. Alente looks up. Derek is currently mid-air, purple lightning coiling around his arm like he's about to deliver a one-way ticket back to the spawn point. Close up on those red eyes. This is the face of a guy who has forgotten this is just a practice session and is currently in full boss battle mode. Alente is staring up at him, and you can see the exact moment she realizes she is completely cooked. Her shield is down, her mana is spent, and a 16-year-old commoner is about to reset her internal clock. Then, the bell rings. The teacher shakes the bell like his life depends on it, cutting the match before Derek can actually turn his student into a crater. Derek lands perfectly, the lightning dissipating instantly. Talk about perfect timing, the teacher just saved the Belmiard family a massive medical bill. Our guy just bows and says thank you for the match, like he didn't just spend the last 5 minutes treating a high noble like a tutorial mob. Alente is just standing there, sweating and speechless. She's processing the fact that the wall between nobles and commoners she was talking about? Yeah, Derek just walked right through it. Transition to the post-match tea session. Alente is sitting under a gazebo, looking a lot less arrogant and a lot more humbled. She calls him a splendid mage, but Derek hits her with the reverse Uno card. He praises her reflexes instead. He's good at this, keep the client's ego just high enough that they don't fire you, but low enough that they know they need you. Alente smirks. She realizes Derek is a pro at social maneuvering. She notes that for a commoner, his skill must have been honed through bone-grinding effort. Derek's response is ice cold. I have to survive as a mercenary. It's a reminder that while she's playing at magic, he's living it. Alente tells him to save the humility. She likes people who actually put in the work. But she warns him about her old teacher. The guy looks like he's about to write a very angry Yelp review about Derek's unorthodox methods. She mentions there's another sparring match at the Rosea Salon coming up. She's actually feeling confident now, thinking she might finally get a good result. Derek tells her that with her skill, she doesn't have much to worry about. He's being polite, but we know he's already calculated her win rate. Alente puts her tea down. The vibe shifts. She isn't interested in small fry anymore. The person she truly wants to beat is Iseline Eleanor Duplain. This isn't just about rank. For Alente, Iseline is the final boss of her entire life. Derek just stares. He knows Iseline. He knows exactly how high that mountain is. Alente catches herself and dismisses him, acting like she didn't just reveal her deepest insecurity to a guy she met an hour ago. Derek walks away, cloak fluttering. Job done. Paycheck secured. Or so he thinks. Alente sips her tea, the name Derek of the Belden Mercenary Corps echoing in her head. She's a smart girl. She's heard that name before. She has a flashback to Iseline at the salon, smiling and talking about a teacher named Derek. Her eyes widen. Even the translator notes in the panel point out she said it twice. This is the eureka moment. Derek is almost out of the district, probably thinking about what kind of cheap ramen he's going to buy with his earnings. Suddenly, a hand grabs his wrist. It's Alente. She's literally chased him down. This is the main character moment she's been waiting for. Derek looks back, totally unimpressed. She hits him with the question, "It's you, isn't it? The mercenary who taught Diella." She's figured out the secret sauce. Next thing you know, they're in a private study with a roaring fireplace. The budget for this meeting just went up significantly. Alente drops the facade. She'll do anything if it means she can beat Iseline. She's officially desperate. Derek asks if she really wants to defeat Lady Iseline. He's making sure she understands the gravity of what she's asking for. Alente explains the meta. Azaleen isn't a 2-star mage yet. If Alente can hit 2-star first, she can use the stat advantage to cheese a win at the next salon match. Derek calls it an incredibly competitive spirit. That's a polite way of saying you have a massive chip on your shoulder. Alente admits it. Before, she wanted to win so badly she would have done something unsightly. She looks into her teacup. She knows jealousy is dirty and pathetic. She's being vulnerable here, which is rare for a noble. She tried to dig up Isolaine's flaws, but Isoline just acted like a saint and tried to embrace her instead. It's like trying to trash talk a player who just sends you GG and heart emojis after every kill. It's infuriating. Derek asks why she's telling him all this. He's a mercenary, not a therapist. She says she wanted him to know her sincerity. She's exposing her shameful side to prove she's serious about the contract. Derek tells her to go ahead. The negotiation is officially starting. She knows Derek stayed with the Duplains. He knows Azaline's ceiling. She looks him dead in the eye. She wants the truth. Derek remains silent for a beat. What must I do to defeat Azaline? It's the question that's been eating her alive for years. Silence in the room. You can practically hear the logs crackling in the fire. Derek starts with the good news. Isaline's skill is astonishing, but Alente possesses tremendous skill too. He says if she works hard to refine her abilities, he stops. He can see it in her eyes. This girl isn't looking for a participation trophy or some hollow praise. She's desperate enough to seek an answer from a lowly mercenary because everyone else in her life has been lying to her. The wide shot shows the distance between them. The power dynamic is shifting from employer and employee to master and student. Derek opens his mouth. You can't beat her. Ouch. That's a straight-up critical hit to the soul. Close up on Derek. He's not being mean, he's being a realist. He knows Azaline is a generational talent. Alente clenches her jaw. Even so, I want to win, even if it's impossible. That's the wild school spirit right there. She's fueled by pure spite and determination. Derek blinks. He likes this answer. It's the kind of irrational logic he can work with. She stands up and leans over the table. She knows what he did for good-for-nothing Diella. She wants that same miracle. Derek looks down at his cup. He admits there's a method worth trying, but before that, there are things bothering him. Alente sits back, crossing her legs. Now we're talking. She's ready to pay the price. Derek asks the first big question, do you know exactly how I taught Lady Diella? We see a glimpse of the dark forest. Diella on her knees, terrified. Derek is standing over her with a sword, a terrifying smirk on his face. He's wreathed in dark mana, looking like a literal villain. This is how he awakened Diella by simulating a deathmatch. It was pure trauma-based learning. Alente says she doesn't know the details, but she doesn't care. She'll do anything. Derek hits her with point number 2. He's a mercenary. If word gets out that a noble lady is learning from a rat like him, people will sneer. It'll be a social death sentence. Alente doesn't care. She wants her name to resound across the empire. She tells him not to judge her sincerity for such a petty reason. She knows what matters more than pride. Results. Derek looks at her for a long moment. No, he says. I'm saying you need to pay me because I'm a mercenary. Our guy really just ruined the dramatic tension to ask for his direct deposit. Alente blinks. She turns bright red. The god of anger just met the god of finance. She stammers, realizing she completely misread the vibe. Ah, money? Of course! Derek stares at her, red eyes glowing. If she's serious, then he's going to reciprocate her sentiment and use harsh methods. God help this girl. Back at the Noble District. The statue of the angel is watching over another day of high society drama. Azaline is holding a book, mentioning that the upcoming gathering will include a magic duel segment. She's heard Alente has improved drastically and needs to prepare. Alente appears behind her, looking smug. Goodness, is it already time for another gathering? Isoline looks back, her flower of Duplain mask firmly in place. Alente is sporting a confident smile. She's got a secret, and she's dying to flex it. Isoline says they were just talking about her. Alente notes she could hear Isoline's voice from the end of the hall. The passive aggression is at an all-time high. The other noble girls are watching from the sidelines, sweating. They know whenever these two meet, the atmosphere gets pressurized. Alente asks if Isoline has ever tasted defeat. She calls her the shining flower of Duplain, but the subtext is, I'm about to pluck those petals. Azaline just smiles. She says because her opponent is Alente, she can't afford to be careless. It's the perfect non-answer. Alente mentions her confidence comes from her new magic tutor. She notes he's just a commoner, but his track record is impressive. Isoline is surprised. It's unusual for Alente to hire a commoner. Alente drops the bomb. My tutor is none other than Derek. Look at that inner monologue. Alente is literally ascending. She thinks she's stolen Isoline's man. She is 100% convinced she just landed a massive emotional blow. Isoline's eyes go wide. Oh my. Then, Iseline grabs Alente's hands and starts congratulating her. She's acting genuinely happy that Alente found a dependable teacher. She's beaming. It's the ultimate counterplay. Alente is totally short-circuited. This was no tea the reaction she wanted. She wanted tears, she wanted rage, not a congrats, girl! Azeline blinks, acting all innocent. Azeline recalls a conversation with Diella. She suggested Diella ask Derek for extra tutoring because her growth was stagnant. Diella's reaction in the memory is pure horror. She begged Azeline not to go that far because Derek is precious to her. Diella isn't being sweet, she's protecting her sister from the literal torture Derek calls tutoring. She's seen the dark side. Back to the present. Azeline is thinking. Alente is still trying to salvage her smugness. She thinks Iseline is just hiding her anger. Yes, Iseline, let your anger out! She's mentally celebrating a victory that hasn't happened. Iseline tries to warn her. Lady Alente? Derek is actually a bit... Alente cuts her off, saying she has to leave for her first session. She's walking away from the one warning that could have saved her. She's giggling to herself, feeling like a winner. Azeline is just watching her go with a look of genuine concern. Iseline thinks to herself that Derek isn't the type to do anything truly terrible. Famous last words. The girls watch Alente leave. Denise sips her tea. Everyone is just working hard to make a living. Transition back to Beldune's tier. The boss is scratching his head. He doesn't understand why Derek's workload for the Belmiards is piling up so fast. Derek says it doesn't matter as long as he can handle the training here in Ebelstein. He's prioritizing efficiency over travel time. The boss is skeptical. Can Alente really beat Azeline? Derek notes it's not a dead end. He still has a way. If Alente can break through to 2-star, she can use the raw power advantage to overwhelm Iseline's superior technique. It's a gear score strategy. The boss tells him to put the wishful thinking aside. What's the realistic plan? Derek's face goes serious. He needs the boss's help for this, and he needs Pelline to guarantee a safe environment. This is starting to sound less like tutoring and more like a heist. The boss just stares at him, barrel on his shoulder. You're planning something reckless, aren't you? Derek admits it. The entire plan is fundamentally dangerous. Cut to Pelline crying on the bar. She's venting about being scammed and made to suffer. Apparently, she's the one who had to buy all the supplies for Derek's dangerous plan, and he's drained her down to the last coin. Pelline is basically the F2P player being forced to buy the whale's gear. Derek just sighs and hands over some money. Problem solved. Next morning, the Belmiard training grounds. Derek is standing there, arms crossed. First, we will start our lessons in the form of live combat training. He explains the drill, 10 consecutive rounds of combat. Alente is shocked. You're just going to throw me into 10 rounds? He says he needs to observe her actual combat abilities first. No textbooks, no lectures, just vibes and violence. Alente likes it. She thinks it's fitting for his mercenary background. She didn't hire him for a lecture anyway. Derek's hand glows with blue mana. If you are ready, we will begin. The arena is suddenly filled with dust and shockwaves. Alente is gasping for air, leaning on her knees. She's already exhausted. Derek walks over calmly. He gives her exactly 10 minutes to rest. Then, they discuss magic theory. Alente is incredulous. Only 10 minutes? I don't have a single drop of mana left. Derek's voice is cold. If you push yourself, I am sure there is still some mana left to draw from. He criticizes her shape. Incorrect. Sharpen your focus and create 10 more ice spears. Again! He's looming over her like a drill sergeant. If you can't even do this, what else are you capable of? Next, he demands 100 magic arrows. Alente is barely whispering that she's empty. Derek's response? Instead of wasting time making excuses, you should create one more arrow. Alente collapses on the floor, sweat-soaked and trembling. Derek looks down at her. You have worked hard this entire session. Please, go have your dinner. He asks if she's all right. He even says that giving up is always an option. It's the ultimate psychological bait. Alente snaps back to life, sitting up instantly. She laughs manically. You're telling me to give up after just a little training like this? She tells him she's had to survive in cutthroat high society. This training is nothing to her. She's trying to reclaim her dignity. Derek bows slightly. Is that so? Perhaps I have underestimated you. Alente stands up, wobbling. She says she's just tired because she came from a salon. Starting tomorrow, I will show you my true abilities. She tells him to ramp up the intensity from tomorrow onwards because this light warm-up barely made her break a sweat. She is lying through her teeth, and they both know it. Derek stops. Tomorrow? My lady, what do you mean by that? His eyes glow red. Didn't I already tell you? Right now is merely your dinner break. Alente freezes. She thought she was done for the day. Derek just stares at her, a terrifying menace. I didn't take this job to joke around with you. Derek is standing there looking perfectly fresh while Iente is literally vibrating from exhaustion. He's asking for just 5 more magic arrows like he's a gym bro who doesn't understand how physics works. She screams at him, asking why the number keeps going up instead of down. Derek just hits her with the "there's still mana left in your body" logic, which is basically the mage version of "you still have a sliver of health bar, keep clicking." Then he starts running. He tells her if she can't run, they'll just switch back to manifestation training. He's giving her the choice between cardio and a migraine. She chooses the cardio. Iente eventually collapses into a chair. She looks like a character who just finished a 100-hour 100% completion run in 3 days. Derek asks if she's alright. She tries to maintain her noble pride by saying this is fun, but her face is currently doing a very good impression of a wet paper towel. He hits her with the bait again. If it seems impossible, giving up is also an option. She snaps back immediately, claiming this much isn't even a workout. She's fueled entirely by spite at this point. Spite is a tier 1 mana supplement in this series. Derek just stares at her. No praise, no pity, just observation. He decides she's rested enough, which was exactly 3 seconds, and tells her it's time to spar again. He's not a teacher, he's a human endurance test. 2 weeks later, Iente is sprawled across a table at the Rosea salon, begging Denise to wake her up the second Iseline arrives. She's so drained she can barely keep her eyes open. She mentions she's been preoccupied with magic training, which is the understatement of the century. Denise looks at her with genuine concern and asks why she's pushing herself so hard. Iente doesn't answer immediately. The silence is heavy. To win. She looks up, and those orange eyes are burning. She isn't just trying to pass a test, she's trying to rewrite her entire existence. Denise is taken aback. This isn't the petty gossip girl she knows, this is someone with main character energy for the first time. She tells Iente to hang in there and that she'll cheer for her. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the salon shifts. Iseline has arrived. You can tell because the brightness level of the panel just went up by 50%. Iente jumps up like she just got hit by a 1-star shockwave. She sees Iseline. Perfect, composed, and effortlessly beautiful. Iente immediately starts panic-fixing her hair and hiding. She's currently a mess of sweat and desperation, and Iseline is basically a living filter. Iseline and the other girls head off to a new clothing store. Iente peeks out, looking like a stray cat that's seen a bath. She confirms that Iseline left. She lets out a massive sigh of relief, hoping Iseline didn't see her sprawling on the table like a commoner. But Iseline pauses for a split second, glancing back. She thinks to herself that Iente seems very tired and wonders if she's actually okay. This is the Iseline problem. She's so genuinely kind that it makes Iente's hatred feel completely unjustified, which only makes Iente hate herself more. Night falls at the Belmiard estate. The maid brings in a gift from House Duplain. It's a box full of high-quality mana recovery potions and a handwritten letter. The maid explains that Lady Iseline sent them to help with her training. Iente doesn't even look at the box. She tells the maid to throw them away. She repeats herself, voice low and cold. She doesn't want Duplain charity. Using those potions would feel like admitting she can't survive without Iseline's help. She asks if Derek is here. The maid says he arrived at dawn and is already preparing the lesson. Derek has zero respect for the concept of business hours. We see the letter Iseline wrote. It's a standard Dear Ladies of Rosea Salon update about the coming winter and shared prosperity. She's talking about her territory producing quality goods and wanting to share them. It's the most wholesome, non-threatening letter possible. The other girls are losing their minds over it, but for Iente, it's just another reminder that Iseline is the center of the universe. Outside, Derek is waiting reading a book. He looks like he's been there for hours, which he probably has. He senses her arrival and narrows his eyes. He can feel the toxic aura she's radiating today. Iente storms up, telling him there's no time for pleasantries. Derek blinks. Oh, what's your assessment? He's asking for a progress report on her mental state. Iente starts stretching, but her mind is elsewhere. She asks him to be honest. What does he actually think of her? Derek stays silent for a long moment. He knows the wrong answer here ends the contract. Giving up is a good strategy too. He says it with that dead-eye stare. Iente stops moving. The atmosphere goes cold. She asks why he keeps offending her. She's hired him to make her win, not to give her an exit ramp. Derek apologizes, but he's not backing down. He's pushing her to find the reason why she won't give up. Iente explodes. She asks how Iseline can even be beaten. She's shouting now, telling him she didn't hire him to suggest she give up. She's at the end of her rope. Derek turns his back on her. He's playing her like a fiddle, waiting for the real truth to come out. He tells her if she's going to talk nonsense, she should just get lost because she's wasting his time. Iente covers her face. The noble lady facade is finally, completely gone. Derek notes that obsessing over victory can hinder growth, and sometimes one should humbly accept defeat. He watches her through his peripheral vision. Alente starts crying. She admits she's just a petty, shameful person who gossips because she can't compete. She admits she's nothing like the pillar of Belmiard everyone thinks she is. She admits to the jealousy. She's shouting at the sky now, admitting how lacking and pathetic she is. This is the moment of total ego death. She's trembling, clutching her chest. She knows there's no reason to hate Iseline. Iseline is perfect. That's the whole problem. She asks why this petty inferiority complex won't disappear. Derek recalls their first meeting. He realizes now that she wasn't just being a brat. He realizes that what she harbored wasn't just jealousy. It wasn't Iseline she hated. It was herself. This fight isn't about social status or a trophy. Winning against Iseline is the only way she can stop feeling pathetic. It's her only escape from the version of herself she can't stand. Derek looks at her and his expression softens, just a fraction. Then let's win. He promises her, I will make sure you defeat Lady Iseline. Alente wipes her tears and just says, okay. The real training starts now. Chapter 18. We open on a carriage rolling through a golden wheat field. The horse's hooves are clicking on the stone road. We're heading to the Belmiard main territory. The carriage door opens and out steps the old teacher. He looks like he's about to enter a boss room without any potions. He's adjusting his glasses, looking incredibly nervous. This is the Count Belmiard residence. It's massive, intimidating, and screams, if you fail, you're executed. Tristan, the Lord of Belmiard, welcomes him back. He's got that I'm a friendly dad but I can also kill you with my pinky energy. He smiles, but you can tell he's the type of guy who expects perfection. He asks how his dear Alente is doing. The teacher stammers out that she's putting a great deal of effort into her training. Tristan boasts that he's never seen a girl with such talent. He's convinced she'll surpass the teacher soon. The teacher is sweating buckets. He thinks to himself that he cannot let the Count find out that Alente is actually learning from a commoner mercenary. If the secret of Derek gets out, both of them are socially and possibly physically toast. Tristan mentions he actually has some business in Eberstein soon. He wants to show up unexpectedly with a gift for his daughter. The teacher gives a forced smile, praying he survives the next few weeks. If the dad shows up while Derek is doing hell training, things are going to get messy. Transition to the outskirts of Eberstein. The moon is full. Welcome to the nameless labyrinth. This isn't a training ground, it's a graveyard for unprepared adventurers. Someone's boot hits the ground. It's the boss and Pelline. They're looking at the dungeon entrance, and Pelline thinks sending someone fragile like Alente in there is a terrible idea. Derek is already walking toward the gate. He says it's the lowest ranked dungeon in the area and she can handle it. This is the same guy who told a 13-year-old he was going to execute her in a forest. His definition of handling it is a bit skewed. Alente is visibly trembling. She asks if she just has to charge in and attack monsters. Derek explains the meta. She needs to sharpen her instincts through real combat. He promises that he and his colleagues will watch her back. He notes that the duel is only a few days away. There's no more time for safe arena practice. They enter the labyrinth. Alente is staring into the dark, her pupils dilated. The squad moves in. Derek has a floating mana light to guide them. Alente is freaking out over every drip of water. She's realized this isn't a game. Derek tells her to prepare herself. Even a low-ranked dungeon is lethal if you get cocky. She looks at his back. He's completely at home here. Close up on Pelline's eyes. She's locked in. Pelline whispers that a horde of goblins is heading their way. Derek heard them a while ago. The boss adds that there's something big behind them. Looks like an ogre. They just pulled the whole room. They're being pinched. The boss asks if Derek can handle the ogre. Derek says it depends on the extra fee. Even in an ambush, our guy is checking his invoices. He tells the boss they can discuss the fee later. He's flaring his mana. The red eyes of the monsters start appearing in the darkness. Alente is frozen. Monsters! They're really going to fight monsters! A goblin lunges from the dark, spear out. Derek drops from above. Alente gasps. Derek draws his sword, blue mana coiling around the blade. He tells Pelline to protect my lady, referring to Alente. He dives into the horde. Pelline draws an arrow. She headshots a goblin mid-jump. Derek is a whirlwind of steel and mana. He's not even using big spells, just efficient one-star reinforcements. He cleaves through another goblin. Pelline fires a triple shot. She's a machine. Derek's blade is dripping with goblin blood. This is the mercenary way Alente needs to see. Another goblin gets pinned to the wall by Pelline's arrow. Alente is just standing in the middle of it, hyperventilating. A goblin shrieks right in her face. The ogre arrives. It's huge, blue, and looks very hungry. The boss steps up with his giant sword. He's curious about the bounty on the ogre's head. The ogre lunges. The boss meets it head on. He carves through the ogre's arm like it's butter. Derek uses fire magic to roast a pack of goblins. He finishes one off with a clean thrust through the neck. Alente is staring at the carnage. She's realizing that Derek actually killed those things. The reality hits her. I could seriously die here. Another goblin shriek. Derek shouts to her. A goblin is heading right for her. He tells her to keep her wits about her. The goblin lunges with a club. Alente stumbles back. I'm going to die. I'm really going to die. Derek is busy with another pack. He shouts that she has to defeat it herself. Alente has a flashback to her entire life. She remembers admitting she was pathetic and naive. The goblin looms over her. She thinks about the misery and humiliation she's always felt. Why have I always been all talk and no action? The goblin swings the club. A terrifying look appears on Alente's face. She remembers who she was, someone who only gossiped and badmouthed others. But she flares her mana. Blue light erupts from her hand. I came here to put an end to that version of myself! She manifests an ice spear at point-blank range. The spear launches. It skewers the goblin mid-air, lifting it off the ground. The boss looks back, impressed. Helene stops for a second, lowering her bow. The goblin's body hits the ground, dead. Alente is gasping, her mana completely depleted. She's sweating, but she's still standing. Derek walks over to her. He's covered in monster blood. He gives her a look. Not a soft one, but one that says, you passed the first floor. Alente smirks. This is only the beginning. No, I am finally stepping forward. But before we get to the fireworks, we see our guy Derek sitting in the dirt, covered in grime and blood, looking at a letter like it's a legendary item drop. The letter is from Katya, his old teacher. It's been 2 years since she left Ebelstein, and she's finally checking in to see if her star pupil has stopped being a menace to society. She's currently busy teaching a high-ranking lady, but she still finds time to write a wall of text about how much she misses the joyful days of walking through the slums. Katya was basically the person who shaped Derek's early mental state. She looks like the type of mentor who would hit you with a wooden sword for fun and then buy you lunch. She calls Derek the most talented mage she's ever seen, which, coming from her, is a massive W. She asks what level he's reached. Little does she know, he's out here reforming noble brats like it's a career path. She signs off as Katya Flameheart. That name is definitely going to be important later. For now, it's just a reminder that Derek actually has a past. Back to reality. Derek is still sitting in the alleyway looking a bit too invested in that paper. Helene walks up and catches him in his feelings. She points out that he's been staring at that letter for 2 weeks straight whenever he has a break. He plays it off cool, saying it's just a letter from his teacher. Helene is actually impressed. She wonders what kind of absolute monster it would take to actually teach someone as cold and tactical as Derek. Derek gives her the, bro, you have no idea stare. She is indeed a great teacher, he says. That's the most emotional we've seen him in chapters. Helene just blinks. She was clearly making a joke, but Derek took it 100% seriously. The vibe shift is real. Helene decides to just drop it before it gets awkward. He shifts the focus to the duel. It's only 2 days away. This is the endgame for Alente's training arc. Helene isn't sure how she feels. She's seen the training. She knows it's been a nightmare. The camera zooms in on her mouth as she prepares to say something bold. I'm going to win. Except it's not Helene speaking, it's Alente, and she's got that main character look in her eyes. Time skip. We're at the Noble District Magic Duel Arena. The air is thick with expensive perfume and bad attitudes. Isaline is the center of attention. She's laughing, being perfect, and making everyone else feel like a background character. She stops when she senses a specific presence. A commoner presence. Derek is walking past, blending into the background like a professional assassin. Isaline excuses herself from her group of fans. She knows who the real VIP is. She calls out to him. This is the first time they've met since he finished his contract with her sister Diella. She's all smiles, but Derek stays in his customer service mode. He calls her my lady and keeps it professional. She's heard the rumors. The whole city is talking about the commoner who is somehow tutoring Lady Alente in secret. Derek just says their paths crossed for a bit. He's the king of understatements. The silence between them is heavy. Isaline is trying to read him, but reading Derek is like trying to read an encrypted hard drive. She notes that he hasn't changed. Then she asks if he's been too harsh on Alente. She mentions that Diella told her he isn't an ordinary teacher and that Alente has been looking like she's about to collapse lately. Derek turns the tables. He asks why she's worrying about her opponent. He calls it confidence. Then his eyes go cold. The mercenary teacher is back. He gives her a piece of advice. No matter who the opponent is, don't let your guard down. It sounds like a warning, The noble girls in the stands are already betting on Iseline. They think Alente is just a snack. One girl notes that Alente looks like skin and bones. That's what hell training does to you. It burns off the fat and leaves only the spite. The steps. The crowd goes quiet. Iseline walks out looking like a goddess. Everyone is cheering. It's basically her home court. Then the other side of the arena opens. Alente is chanting to herself, "I'm going to win. I'm going to win." She's manifesting that W with everything she has. Her walk is different. It's not a noble stroll. It's a soldier's march. I will absolutely win! The inferiority complex has officially turned into fuel. Derek watches from the shadows. He's like a proud dad, if the dad was a high-level mage who taught his kid how to fight dirty. The two ladies face off. The contrast is perfect, the Golden Saint versus the Crimson Challenger. Iseline asks if she's been well. She's being polite, but it feels patronizing to someone like Alente. Alente hits back with the sarcasm. She says Iseline's composure is an inspiration. Iseline drops the act for a second. No. She admits she's never been this nervous for a duel before. She can feel the change in the air. Shall we begin? Alente isn't here for small talk. She's here for a scalp. Iseline nods. The game is on. Alente starts with fire. It's a wild school manifestation, raw, hot, and immediate. Iseline counters with a massive wave of blue mana. She's a disciplined school genius, so her spells are mathematically perfect. The arena is instantly flooded with mana. It's a one-star battle that feels like a three-star war. Alente starts spamming flame arrows. This is Derek's strategy. Overwhelm her field of vision. Iseline is actually forced to move. She didn't expect this much raw output from a failure. The arrows rain down like a literal storm. This isn't just magic, it's a barrage. Iseline has to shield herself constantly. She's being pushed back for the first time in her life. Alente's face is pure focus. She knows she only has a few minutes of mana left. We get a flashback. Derek is teaching her how to scrape every last drop of mana from her soul. He tells her that if both mages run out of mana, the match is decided by willpower, not skill. His instruction was simple. Use your magic as flashily and grandly as possible. He wants her to drag Iseline into a battle of attrition. Believe in yourself. This is the only heroic thing Derek has ever said, and it's working. Iseline is shook. She cannot believe Alente has reached this level of combat proficiency. Alente reaches out for more. She's pushing past her empty tank. The fire spears rain down again, covering the entire arena in light. Iseline looks up. She realizes she can't just defend anymore. She starts her own incantation. Her hands are glowing with a terrifying amount of blue energy. Iseline creates a massive dome of water to extinguish the fire spears. Both girls lock eyes. Both of them are thinking the same thing, I will win. The fire spears keep coming. Alente is standing tall, literally raining down hell on the Empire's favorite daughter. Iseline is holding her ground inside her water dome. She looks like a statue, immovable and terrifyingly calm. The impact of the spears against the dome creates a series of explosions that shake the entire stadium. The nobles in the crowd are losing it. They've never seen Alente do anything but fail, and now she's putting on a masterclass in offensive pressure. Iseline's shield holds. It's perfect disciplined school magic, low energy cost, high efficiency. Iseline is analyzing the fight. She realizes Alente is just blasting mana endlessly. At this rate, Alente will be a battery with 0% charge in about 30 seconds. Suddenly, Iseline's eyes widen. She sees something through the smoke. Found her! Alente isn't just standing there. She's moving. Fast. Alente closes the gap. She manifests an ice spear in her hand. She launches it point blank. This is the mercenary way, forget the long-range chanting, just stab the problem. Iseline dodges, but Alente follows through with another one. It's a melee exchange now. Mages aren't supposed to fight like this, but Derek didn't teach her to be a noble mage. Iseline is genuinely panicked. No way! She realizes what's happening. Illusion magic. Alente is moving her illusions like they're real bodies to confuse Iseline's tracking. Alente appears behind her. The spear is ready. Iseline's blue eyes are trembling. The flower is about to get plucked. Alente strikes. The ice spear flies through the air, aimed right for the heart of the defense. Iseline barely twists out of the way, the spear grazing her side. Flashback time. We see Derek and Alente on the back of a wagon. Derek is explaining the strategy. He tells her to overwhelm Iseline's vision with fire, then use illusions to bait her. Once the opening appears, go in for the kill with ice spears. But then he gives the macro warning. Iseline isn't just any skilled mage, she's a disciplined prodigy. Back to the fight. Alente launches the final ice spear at point-blank range. Iseline realizes she doesn't have time to cast a shield. She's cooked. Or she should be. In that case, Iseline makes a split-second decision. She grabs the ice spear with her bare hands, using raw mana to keep it from piercing her. Elente screams as she pushes the spear forward. It's a contest of pure physical and magical strength now. Iseline's hands are glowing. She's doing something weird with the mana flow. An explosion of blue energy sends both of them flying back. Elente hits the ground hard, her mana completely bottomed out. Aislinn stands up, her hair messy, looking like a warrior instead of a lady. Elente looks up and sees something that makes her blood go cold. What is that? Aislinn is standing in a silhouette of pure, overwhelming mana. The air around her is literally vibrating. Aislinn breathes out. She admits that was close. She's actually sweating. We see Derek's face. He's thinking about his own advice. Don't let your guard down. Iseline looks at Elente with a new level of respect. She understands that Elente has completely changed. But then she says the line that every protagonist hates hearing, then I'll also push forward with firepower. Iseline is confident in an exchange of raw power. The ground around her feet starts to crack as mana pours out of her. She creates a forest of ice spears. Not one, not 10, hundreds. The crowd is stunned. Producing that many spears without a single incantation? That's some 5-star behavior. Derek is leaning against a pillar, looking completely unimpressed. She took the bait, he says. Wait, what? Elente looks terrified, but her eyes are still searching for an opening. Iseline admits Elente has achieved remarkable growth, but the gap in talent is still a mountain. Iseline launches the spears, but Elente does something weird with her hand behind her back. The sun is shining bright above the arena. Iseline tells her to try blocking this. The spears descend. Elente manifests a tiny flame in her palm. It looks pathetic compared to the ice spears. The spears hit the ground, creating a fog of ice and mana. Iseline looks through the mist. She's waiting for the I surrender. But then she sees it. Her eyes go wide. A single flame arrow is spiraling through the air, weaving between the ice spears like it has a mind of its own. Flame arrow? Since when? Iseline couldn't sense the incantation or the mana flow. She realizes it was hidden from the start. Elente hid one single arrow in the sun's glare during the first barrage. It's a toe-casting trick Derek taught her, masking the spell's origin point. The arrow grazes Aiseline's cheek, drawing blood. Elente is panting, her legs shaking. She's done. She has 0 mana left. Aiseline is genuinely shaken. She can't read Elente anymore. She has no idea what move is coming next. The crowd is murmuring. They're fighting on equal footing. This was supposed to be a stomp, and now it's a dogfight. Elente smiles. She thinks she has Iseline on the ropes. She thinks she's winning. Iseline thinks to herself, I can't win under these conditions. She admits that in terms of tactics and boldness, Elente is a step ahead. Iseline takes a deep breath. She closes her eyes. Let me reset the conditions from the start. This sounds ominous. Derek straightens up. He knows exactly what's coming. This is where it really starts, he mutters. Aiseline opens her mouth. The mana around her begins to swirl like a hurricane. She's levitating. Her blue mana is turning into a blinding light. Elente looks up, confused. The wind is picking up, but it's not wind magic. It's raw mana pressure. Iseline is walking toward her like she's walking on air. Elente tries to summon mana, but nothing happens. The air feels empty. Iseline's eye is glowing with a terrifying blue light. I can't feel the surrounding mana. Elente is starting to panic. This is a mage's worst nightmare, being cut off from the source. Derek explains the phenomenon, mana alignment. It's a rare occurrence where an overwhelming amount of mana momentarily controls all the surrounding mana in the area. When a single mage exerts mana beyond their limit, everything in the vicinity is forced to align with them. It's like a black hole for magic. In short, Iseline has stopped being a participant and has become the arena itself. She has exceeded her limits. She's no longer a 1-star or even a 2-star. In this moment, she is a force of nature. She raises her hand. A massive fireball, at least 2-star level, manifests instantly. The heat is so intense it's melting the ground. Elente is staring at certain death. How does a girl with 0 mana survive a sun being thrown at her? We'll find out in the next batch. Don't go anywhere. We start with a flashback, because of course we do. Elente is collapsed on the grass after another one of Derek's I'm not trying to kill you, I promise training sessions. He brings her some water, but she's not in the mood for hydration. She's stuck in her own head, wondering if a few weeks of being bullied by a commoner is actually enough to beat a natural-born genius like Aiseline. Derek, in his usual comforting way, which is to say not comforting at all, tells her she will win. Then he adds the fine print. To be more precise, you will win in a certain sense. Back in the present, the audience is actually terrified. That 2-star fireball is no joke. It's hovering there like a tactical nuke, and everyone knows a 1-star mage shouldn't be able to hold that much heat without melting. Elente is panicking. This was definitely not in the lesson plan Derek gave her. She looks over at him in the stands, basically screaming with her eyes for some kind of cheat code. Derek just stares back with his "I forgot to turn the stove off" face. Alente is losing it. She calls him a fraud and tells him to say something useful before she gets incinerated. The fireball is launched. It's a massive wall of flames, and for a second, it looks like the series is just going to end right here. Alente's brain is running at 1000% speed. She knows her protective magic won't hold, and an ice spear would just turn into steam instantly. She starts falling back into that old self-hatred, thinking it's actually impossible to defeat someone like Azaleen. The other noble girls are watching with that "I told you so" look. They're already preparing their gossip for the after-party. But Alente doesn't just sit there and take it. She jumps. The fireball hits the ground and the impact clears the floor. Alente uses the smoke and the sheer force of the blast to reposition. Azaleen is huffing. Hard. She looks around the arena trying to find where her opponent's remains are. She's shocked. Alente didn't just survive, she dodged the undodgeable. Derek notices something interesting. Azaleen used the exact same dodging method Alente used earlier, even though she'd only seen it once. This is the genius tax. Azaleen is learning and adapting in real time, but she's paying for it with her mana pool. Using 2-star magic when you're inexperienced is like trying to run a high-end PC on a potato battery. It's going to crash your system. Azaleen clenches her fist. Derek realizes that Azaleen isn't holding back anymore. She has acknowledged Alente as a real threat, and that is actually the highest honor she can give. It's a weird noble respect thing. You show courtesy by trying to absolutely destroy the other person. Alente sees a smirk on her own face. She finally gets what Derek was talking about. Azaleen preps another fireball. She's determined to end this. She's pushing her body to the breaking point to maintain the mana alignment. But it's taking a toll. Her face is twitching from the mana strain. She launches the second fireball. The crowd is losing their minds. Casting 2 of those in a row is basically suicide for a 1-star mage. This one is even faster. Azaleen is sacrificing everything for speed now. Ayente is forced to keep moving. She's dodging by the skin of her teeth. She does a handspring to avoid a blast. Then she launches herself into the air. She positions herself perfectly in front of the sun. Azaleen covers her eyes. This is the oldest trick in the book, but it's working because it's simple. Alente is basically a silhouette against the glare. She knows Azaleen can't read the trajectory of an attack if she can't see the person casting it. Alente manifests an ice spear. She's not wasting mana on defense anymore. She's asking the silent question, "What now, Azaleen?" Azaleen hits the ground. She's exhausted. The ice spear slams into the arena floor right next to her. Ayente realizes she's won the mana trade. Azaleen used everything on those 2 fireballs. Ayente lands. She looks like she's about to pass out, but she's the one still standing. Azaleen is breathing like she just ran a marathon in lead boots. Derek watches. It'll be over soon. He's already seen the ending. Alente is feeling herself. She's convinced there's no way Azaleen has any mana left. She checks her own reserves. She can still cast maybe 2 more spells. In a mage duel, that's an infinite amount of power if the other person is at 0. She thinks she's finally done it. She thinks she's defeated the Flower of Duplain. Azaleen is on the ground, seemingly defeated. She's trembling. Alente stands over her, looking like the victor. The silence in the arena is deafening. Nobody expected the failure to be the last one standing. But Azaleen isn't done. She's shaking, trying to force her body to produce one last spark. She's begging her mana to listen. "Please, just one more time." Alente looks down at her. The ego trip is starting to fade as she realizes how desperate her opponent is.